What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Metal Maniacs Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ingersoll, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host.
It's your boy, Mod. What's good?
What's up, buddy?
How you been, Jay?
I'm great, dude.
We got to stop taking these 3-week breaks.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
So today we are sitting here with a band. When I first started this podcast, I made a list of bands that I wanted on this show. We haven't been doing it quite a year yet, but you guys were on the top of the list because I'm a fan of you guys' band. I love your shit. And you guys are badass, and you guys have what it takes. Mm-hmm. You guys have the it factor. So I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys. Throne is here.
Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you.
So thanks for coming out here. I know it was a little bit of a haul, a little bit of a drive to get here. But we appreciate your time, energy, and effort. So before we get started, just tell us your name and what you do in the band so people can kind of get acclimated to your voices.
Yeah, my name's Nate. I'm the vocalist, and I also play rhythm guitar.
And I'm Colin, and I'm the drummer.
Okay, cool. So starting this off, I'm just going to kind of read a little bit of this. I don't want to read like the inception of the band because I want to let you guys tell that story. Yeah. But just so people kind of know, your bio kind of says Blackened from Jackson, Michigan, for fans of Suffocation, Hate Eternal, Belphegor, Dark Funeral, Angel Corpse. All awesome bands. I can see where that comes in. I would add a little Behemoth in there probably too.
Yep.
And then I'll just read this one little sentence here, and then I'll kind of let you guys tell your story from there. So, revered and respected among the Midwest heavy music community, Throne have captivated and crushed the masses with a ferocious, relentless, and intricate formula of death metal all their own. Since storming from the gates in late 2017 with their first jaw-dropping live performance, Throne have consistently gained momentum, sharing the stage and holding their own with major extreme acts such as At the Gates, Exhumed, Revocation, Suffocation, Belphegor, and Goatwhore. And since that was written, probably like 50 more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's kind of a small list for the shows.
Yeah, it's, we've opened for a lot more bands than that. But
So, just to get started, tell us a little bit about... Tell me about your journey. We'll start with you, Nate, and then you, Colin. Just kind of how you got. We're an extreme metal podcast most of the time. I would say 90% of the time. We talk about extreme metal, and it takes a certain individual to be into extreme metal.
Yeah,
you know. So tell me a little bit about your story, how you started, how you kind of got into playing.
Oh man, for me particularly, I started playing guitar around 15, But, like, as far as in extreme metal, I actually kind of grew up not listening to extreme metal. I kind of had a little bit of a backwards introduction into it. My parents weren't into it or anything like that, so I had to find it by my own means through the internet and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't start doing band stuff till I was out of high school. Probably around 18.
Okay.
And then the rest is history at that, you know. I did a few bands with one of my old friends, and then did my my band Once We Were Buried in about 2007 to 2009 with my brother. And then did The Ancient with Cody, and then met Colin in 2013, and then it's gone from there. So
So before we get into your story, Colin, I do want to speak on something real fast. I remember, I just like the music you put out, man. You put out good shit.
Oh,
you
thank
always
you.
have. But I remember going to Cricket's bar out here and watching Morning Wolf play.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's when I first met you, because you and
Yeah.
Larry kind of been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
So obviously Larry's been in every one
I
of
used
my
to
bands
play.
for
I
years,
used to
you know?
play. I played some shows with Time of Plague way back in the day,
Yeah.
when I was in Once We Were Buried.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I have a little bit of rapport with Larry for a while.
So that's when I met you, but I remember seeing Morning Wolf, and I was just like, what the fuck? This is so fucking sweet, man. Like, I thought it was
Thank
great.
you.
And that drummer, his name was Cody?
That's Cody. He was
Yeah.
also in The Ancient with me, and is in Jesus Wept with me as well.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And he was also in Sunlight Spain with me.
Yeah.
Him and I have been playing shows together and doing music together for about 15 years.
Between him and this monster over here, you're goddamn lucky, dude. Jesus.
Oh, my drummer in Once We Were Buried didn't suck either. So
Yeah, save some drummers.
Team
for the
was
rest of
really
us.
good.
Yeah, I was like, damn,
Yeah.
man, you're spoiled, dude.
I've been very spoiled with very talented drummers.
I gotta ride all these guys' coattails.
Yeah.
because I'm like, Colin, you're freaking amazing, man. I just every time I watch you play or listen to your stuff, I'm just like, dude, this dude is the shit. And then I just remember Morning Wolf and how good Cody was too, because that was, I mean, you guys' music was awesome, and it was cool because you had the keyboards and everything the time I seen you.
Yep.
So it was just this whole performance, but I just remember the drummer too just being so tight and so good. I was like, damn, these guys are fucking sweet.
Symphonic, melodic death metal.
So definitely a fan of yours, Nate. So
thank you.
Cool as hell. So what about you, Colin? Your journey into how you became the beast behind the kit that you are now.
Oh man, it's been my whole life. Growing up, some of my earliest memories are being in a playpen and hearing like Arise, Sepultura, or Slayer. My first love was Metallica back in the day, you know. Supposedly, I was 3 years old and could tell every member of Metallica and how Cliff died.
Wow.
So I was really brought into, you know, like my mom's favorite band when I was growing up was Pantera, Sepultura. So like the lightest stuff I would hear would be like some classic rock, but like on the reg, it was some heavy shit.
Nice.
You know, like my Uncle Zach, growing up, he'd always be watching my sister and I and stuff. So getting rides to kindergarten, listening to Sound of Perseverance and shit. So yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And then why did you pick up the drums? Like, how did that come about?
My dad and my mom's brother both are drummers, and they were drummers back when I was growing up. They lived in the same house as me. So it was like band practice every other day, and different band out in the barn. And just growing up around that, like lots of little boys get into army and shit like that. I just wanted to drum. And I wanted to shred.
Nice. Awesome.
Surrounded by it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we can see that for sure. So you said you met him in 2013?
Yep. We well, actually, I didn't technically meet him then. He used to come watch my old band once we were buried when we would play. We used to play Jackson all the fucking time.
Okay.
And Colin used to come and watch us at almost any time we played there.
Yeah.
Well, more later towards 2009ish, but right around the time when we broke up. But so he was also jamming with some other bands, and you know we'd play shows from time to time with each other. But we were in a band together called Inevitable Frost in 2013, I want to say 14ish, something like that. And that was when him and I actually really started jamming together. And that was more like a traditional black metal style band. And then that band didn't really last too long. It we played like maybe 2 shows, maybe. And then the lead guy that ran it kind of flaked out on us and disappeared. And then we made Throne in 2014.
Okay.
Yep.
So it was something you had in 2014 because it says you guys played your first show in 2017. So that was was more of a side project. Is that what it was?
At the time, it was because I
Yeah.
was still doing Trader Sunlight Spain at that time, and that was my main thing. And Throne wasn't really ready to do any shows yet. And then I was kind of going through a lot of marriage stuff at that time. So I wasn't able to fully commit to it. And then I had to leave for about a year. And then I ended up getting divorced and ended up not working out correctly because then I came back and luckily Colin was, ready to keep it going, and then we hit the ground running after that.
Well,
So,
I had showed him some tracks from a band I was working on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, our guitar player just quit in the studio. We don't have any vocals on this. He's like, I do vocals on it. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. We got talking about it. And he's like, actually, you want to just do Throne again? I'm like, oh, well, fuck yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like that works.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And then after that, it's, we were able to pick up Les, the bass player.
Yep.
And then our first guitar player, Joe,
Yep.
joined us in August of 17. And then we played our first show in October
Okay.
of that year.
So then we'll kind of go through your discography here real quick. So then the Altar of the Dying, that was the first thing you guys did, the EP, right?
Yeah.
Just- And then that was released July 30th, 2018. Bricktop Studios, you guys love going there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Andy
Yeah, the
Andy
best.
Nelson's the
Yeah.
best.
So album art, super badass on that too. I really like that a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah, that's good.
A
It's
few-
crisp.
a few notes from me just on that. and something maybe we can expand on. So not of shadow nor fog. That bass solo part.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys as bass players. I mean, you guys are all fucking sweet, but your bass player's awesome too, man. He's
yeah.
a fucking beast, dude.
The Druid,
The Druid. Yeah.
Fun to watch.
Even though he's not the Druid anymore.
formerly
really,
known as the Druid.
Yeah.
And then the Heresy of the Highest Order, to me, that has a real heavy, and I love every second of it, so don't take offense to say this, but like Behemoth Demigod, like that just screams that to me. And that's
was
my favorite era of Behemoth anyway, like
For sure.
right around that era, Demigod, and then the one after. So I'm just hearing a lot of kind of like them black metal-ish dark chords, but with the death metal mix, you know, so I think that's why I'm a big fan of you guys, because that's what it reminds me of. Is just I'm a fucking death metal guy
any
through and through, you know?
era, the earliest era of Behemoth from Demigod and the Apostasy,
Yeah.
and then even the Zostki Occultist stuff before Demigod.
Yeah,
That's the Behemoth that I like.
yeah, me too.
I kind of stopped caring about him after the Apostasy, really.
Yeah.
So
Well, they had the Evangelon or
That
whatever.
record,
that wasn't too bad.
to me, that's
That
the
album's dope. I like it.
to
Yeah,
I
me
love that
that's the
album.
last good Behemoth album.
Yeah, to me, I know when I told people I didn't like the Satanist, they're like, "What is the matter with you?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Dude, that's just not my thing."
It's not Behemoth to
yeah.
me. It's just they kind of pulled back on their sound, and it's a lot less intense
Yeah.
sounding to me.
Yeah, I remember I was sitting on my dad's couch for some reason, and the Headbangers Ball, like when Jimmy Josta brought it back, was
Yeah.
on, and I remember I'd never heard Behemoth before, and they were out for a long time, but the Slave Shall Serve video came on, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, it was just so heavy, and like with the layered vocals and everything, and they had the corpse paint. I was like, this is my shit, and I went out and bought the record. I think that day I got up and went and bought it.
Hell yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, them are the good Behemoth days. Just not a big fan of their newer stuff in the Satanists. It's a little just kind of like rock and doom for me, and that's just really not
Black
my,
and roll.
yeah,
Yeah.
black and horror, yeah.
Yeah, death and roll.
I dig
black
it,
and
it's
roll,
just
yeah.
not-
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remain a fan to this day. It's all right if they strip it down a little bit for me,
Hell yeah.
And then
because they're still gonna roll out that heavy stuff live, right?
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
still
they'll
gonna-
still
yeah.
play it
yeah,
all.
yeah, all day. You got to.
I just kind of want them to come back around. Like I keep waiting. I keep giving their newer stuff a chance. You know,
They
and
will.
I'll listen to it
Just
again.
give
I'm
us
like,
one last Demigod
yeah,
album.
Yeah, I need that little extra, that push, you know. And then so still talking on the Altar of Dying EP, you know, the Covenant of Darkness, to me that was the standout track. It's just my favorite track off the whole thing. Great EP. Really liked it. And then what happened after the EP, like kind of in between before you guys went and recorded Pestilent Dawn? Were you guys just doing a bunch of shows, or just sharpening your blade? Or
Lots of shows.
Yeah.
Lots of shows. I learned how to do double strokes, heel toe on
Okay,
the
there
on
you go.
the kick drums. Pretty much started. It clicked while doing Altar of the Dying,
Okay.
but I didn't use any of it. Like, way different feel to just play those songs first time like that.
Yeah.
But pretty much immediately after we come home from the studio, we're playing all those songs a different way, faster.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. You learn that new trick, and you're like, oh fuck
Yeah.
that.
I've been trying it for years, and when I was younger, like seeing long strength, like
Oh.
Origin and stuff, like
Jesus, dude.
long haired, long strength. When I was a kid and would see that, that's cheating. I just write it
Oh,
off. I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
sounds too fast, looks too easy. I wrote it off for so long, but then went 15 years not being able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so
It takes a lot of time and dedication to do that, because there's a lot of drummers that can only do the single stroke, you know,
Yeah.
and then they have like all the techniques now, because then you got the swivel foot thing, which still
Yep.
doesn't make sense to me either when you just see the fucking foot going back and forth like this, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I get the double stroke. Like, I understand mechanically how that works. I don't understand the whole.
The swivel,
Swivel thing, it's weird. It's
especially
like-
when you're watching
Yeah.
George Callias do it.
Yeah.
It's just like
yeah.
it almost looks like they're going like
Octopus.
this, and it's like, brrrr. It's like, I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, the swivel foot thing, my brain can't comprehend what's going on there.
Yeah, but
Well, however you get it done, man. Oh, sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, you're fine. But in between Altar and Pestilent Dawn, that was our busiest show run that we've had since before we started touring. But we were playing almost. To me, it felt like we were playing like 3 or 4 times a month, like just all the time.
We had 1 week where we played 5 times in 1 week, all in Michigan.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it was like
ridiculous.
it was almost a mini tour that wasn't a mini tour. It was
Oh,
really
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Like
We kind of
but-
kept on to that until you start overhearing people outside of shows like, man, they're on every show. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
and then
we're
it
kind of
becoming-
overstaying our welcome
Yeah,
here in the scene,
Yeah, 18 and 19 was our busiest show runs that we did. And then COVID happened, obviously, in 20, and then that shut everything down, which I believe, at least for us, it was probably a blessing because it allowed us to not oversaturate our market at that point in time. And then we were able to get down into the studio, and during COVID is when we recorded that.
Pestilent Dawn.
Yep.
So that came out. April 9th, 2021. It says here that's when it was released.
Yeah.
So when did you guys record this then?
We
Like,
recorded it.
in
We recorded
20?
it right during I want to say right during all the George Floyd stuff
Oh,
was
no
going
shit.
on.
So
But
during
as-
COVID,
yeah,
you guys
as we were
recording.
recording it, there was all the looting and stuff was happening right down in like 2 blocks away from where we were recording.
Oh,
They
no
tried
shit.
Down
setting
Chicago.
they tried setting the building we were in recording on fire.
yeah.
Jesus.
We just
Yeah,
started
there was like
smelling
a-
smoke.
There was like a burning mattress on the other side of the building and everything. Yeah, like all that was happening right. There was like tanks and helicopters flying around. It was wild.
Yeah.
Damn, you guys
Yeah.
are like, we need to get this record done real
Yeah,
quick
pretty much. Yeah.
before,
Yeah,
the
like-
end out. Before the end of the world.
Yep. It was. I mean, and then the next, like, they tried shutting down Chicago, so you couldn't leave. They made a curfew and everything. It was,
Damn.
Do you feel like
and
that,
then you did any walking around from where we were at, you could see like cash registers, and, like, the
merchandise, everything. got
windows
looted.
blown out of like the like front gates are ripped open.
Yeah.
Like it was
so
that, insane.
had to impact like the recording? How do you feel like it affected you guys in the studio, like as you're doing your job?
In my opinion, it didn't really do anything. Like it was just it was pretty insane that it was happening during that though. Like as far as like our production and how we our work ethic,
Yeah.
I don't think it affected us at
Yeah.
that point, but there was a little bit of worry that are we gonna be able to get out of Chicago like because of the curfew and everything, but it didn't end up being a problem.
Okay.
So.
I thought it was kind of sick, like look at some of the
Yeah.
track listings, the names of the tracks on that, and we're recording that shit while during this pandemic, while this crazy riot's going on
Yeah.
in the same, like, not like we were down the road from it. They blew out windows of cars and of buildings right up until our building and stuff.
Yeah,
so I was like,
Jeez.
we went to the store and saw 300 people running across the bridge with like a big flag. Like it was real rioting.
Yeah, real shit was happening.
Yeah.
So I think it was. It kind of gives the record like a cool story.
Yeah.
But we
Okay.
can say, oh yeah, we were recording that like, and there was all this crazy shit was happening
hell.
as we were recording Pestilent Dawn. So
Yeah, no
it was pretty cool.
Yeah, like you said, and then some of the song titles track for all of that craziness that are going on there. So again, you guys were at Bricktop in Chicago. Andy Nelson, that's the guy. He's the guy, huh?
He's our main man.
Yeah.
He's recorded all of our stuff.
Okay. And the cool thing is I've been able to see even his progression as a producer.
Oh yeah.
Along with your band.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that, you go to him, but he's getting better as you guys are getting better. You know what I mean? He's helping you guys put out a better product as he's getting better because I've seen the growth just in his production throughout. So I'm like, that's super cool when you got a guy that you trust with your
Oh, yeah.
art, right? And then he's also putting in the work because you guys
Yep.
are too,
Definite shout out to Andy on that.
Oh
one.
yeah, Andy's actually been the guy that's recorded. He recorded all the Jesus Wept material
Okay.
and did all of my band before Throwing Sunlight's Bane. He did
Okay.
our full length record for that as well. So I have a really long rapport with Andy, and I felt like because Andy understands death metal.
Mm-hmm.
He was also I don't know if any of you are familiar with the band Weekend Nachos at
Yeah.
all. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Andy's band.
Oh, no shit.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So he understands heavy music, and for us to go down to him, I was telling all the guys in the band, and I was like, hey, go to Andy. it'll sound cool. I know Colin was a little skeptical at first because he's like, well, I want to be able to, because he's never really recorded anything death metal. We're really the only, not now, but he's done like 200 Stab Wounds and bands like that.
Yeah.
But like before us, there was really no death metal that he recorded. The heaviest stuff that he did like Harm's Way's first couple albums, and
Yeah, very familiar.
I think he did his own Weekend Nacho stuff, but
Okay,
that's that's Power Violence, and
Yeah,
Harm's Way is more of a hardcore band.
Yeah, they're hardcore.
Like nothing really death metal, so we were kind of his first real death metal band that he's done, and I thought it came out awesome.
Yeah.
So
No, it did for sure. And so I want to talk a little bit about this album. Can you tell me a little bit about the music video? Beyond Malice.
oh, good old Brian Sheehan. He's the one that does all of our album artwork.
Okay.
Yep.
And he
And
recorded the video too?
He did the
or-
video. He's in his own strange realm of how he likes to do stuff, and it was kind of, the video was kind of just his vision of what he thought would look cool, and
Yeah.
we were just like, oh yeah, let's just go to an abandoned building and shut all the lights off and make everything blue and look creepy, and that's pretty much what he came up with. It was,
So I noticed there was some corpse paint.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
ash and
yep.
yeah.
I couldn't really tell because I couldn't see you too often unless that was you singing on the pulpit type thing in the middle.
No,
Was
that's
that?
actually Clint from Recorruptor.
Oh, okay. Okay.
'Cause
Like
Clint-
dressed up
because
kinda,
Clint is on that section of that
okay,
song.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Yeah, it just looked like some of the lyrics actually on part of that, like it was kind of mimed by that, and then I could only kind of see your head a little bit, and then it would kind of pan to you a little bit because the video kind of flips around and stuff. So it's
Yeah,
kinda
he's
like,
got he had the camera was on like a spin, like a
Yeah.
turnstile that he just kept flipping up over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
everything's a little,
yeah,
all over the place.
still a pretty cool video. I just
It
noticed,
is cool.
I was just kind of wondering what the corpse paint was just for the video, just
Yeah,
for the
pretty
effect.
much.
Yeah, thought it was kind of cool though. So I noticed you have quite a few, just kind of like some guest things on this album too.
Yeah.
Guest vocals on Mist of Chaos, guest vocals on Beyond Malice. Obviously, that was Clint, and then guest solo on All Creation Wept. Guest vocals on All Creation Wept from Mortis Gold. I've heard of those guys, but I never heard those guys. But on that All Creation Wept, there is like this very mid-rangey vocal that sticks out, and then I realized it must have been that
it's-
dude from
David from
yeah.
Mortis Gold. Yep.
Yeah. Because I don't want to kiss your ass too much, but your vocals are awesome too, dude.
Oh,
Especially
thank
for
you.
just playing guitar. Like you
Yeah.
got like that
Yeah.
low, and almost sometimes it gets into that little deep, almost piggish, like dying fetus, type
Guttural action.
suffocation.
Guttural
there's a
vocal,
little
yeah.
guttural. And then like you can do the highs, and then so on Beyond Malice, there's just like super high pitched scream. Was that you?
That's
on-
Clint.
Okay,
That's gotta
okay,
be
yeah.
Clint, yeah.
yeah. Because it just kind of
Clint
trails
can
off.
hit a level of high that I really can't get to yet.
That was my thinking when I
Yeah.
listened to the track.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if like Nate wanted to go even higher here, and he just reached out to Clint because I could tell it was Clint. I could tell the voice was totally different from the rest of the album's
Yeah.
highs.
He totally came up with that shit. on
Well,
his
yeah,
own,
he
too.
Okay.
like we had talked to him about doing a guest spot, and I basically said, "Go ham." I was like, "Do what you got to do," and he went up to Mike's Dilemma from Vestigial and
Yeah.
recorded it, and then sent it back to us, and we're like, "Oh, wow,
He
that's cool."
he is a great vocalist, man.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
is
yeah.
top
Very
tier,
good.
dude. When it comes to vocals, and just one more note about your vocals that I've noticed too. A lot of times when you're playing guitar, the vocals will like go right with the guitar. I've noticed yours doesn't really go with the guitar that often, which is really cool in my opinion.
Am a massive advocate for not doing that.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it when there's a riff and the vocals mimic
yeah,
the rhythm and the cadence
Yeah.
of the riff, and I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Same.
Because it's just there's a lot of there'll even be vocalists that do it that aren't playing guitar.
oh yeah.
A lot of early BDM stuff Trevor would, especially like Funeral Thirst, for
Yeah.
example, the riff has a certain cadence and he follows the cadence of the riff almost the entire way, and it's a little to me it just kind of is like, I'm like, just don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, do something else.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I never wanted to be it's really hard to focus, to meld your brain to not follow what your hand's doing on the guitar.
Yeah.
And it took me a little while to learn that.
Yeah. I just really noticed that, especially on some of the newer stuff where it's like, it took me a little bit, and then I just kind of realized that, wait, none of these vocals kind of go with the guitar. And usually that's the first thing when you're a guitarist vocalist, that's kind of what you're doing. I mean, unless you're Chuck or something, but, you know, I respect that because I know how hard it is. And I think that technique has its time and place. If it's just like anything else, you know, if you overdo it on something, it's too much. But if you just put it in there a little bit as far as like going with the guitar, you know, like I think, you know, John from Fetus does it pretty well. You know,
yeah, the best.
But you know, like not all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it has its time and place. But I just noticed how you did that, and I was like, that's pretty fucking sweet because I know it takes a lot of training to be able to do that.
And I appreciate that you actually noticed that. That's cool. Like most people don't bring that up to me when they talk to me about it.
I was just listening to the music just to freshen up on it, and it's something I kind of noticed too. As I'm listening to the vocals, I know you play the guitar, and I'm thinking he must have really sat down to pick and choose like where to put the vocal while he's playing, because the hands are kind of all over, but the vocals just kind of, you know, you just kind of drop them in here and there or hold them out. So it must be a lot of work.
Actually, I probably do things a little differently than what most vocalists do. I actually have no lyrics written until I get into the studio, and I have no vocal placements until I get into the studio. So once I get into the studio and I am doing my vocal parts, I pretty much make up where the vocals are going to go, and then I force myself how to learn that while playing guitar.
Okay.
So,
you know,
rough life. That's
rough life.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work.
I mean,
that's awesome.
Forcing yourself to get better.
Yeah, seen you do it live. So it's fucking awesome, Nate. That's really good stuff.
The one, you know, as far as we're big advocates of, and we kind of had the small conversation like this, and I don't want to bring this up again, but I'm going to anyway. It's like the vocals that sing over everything too, like the vocalist that it's just like too much. And you have a good choice of when you do sing, and it also, you guys bring parts back. I think that's why I like your band so much, because you guys could just go off on some fucking 5-minute technical rampage and you could sing over everything, and then I mean you just sound like 90% of the bands that are doing shit now. But that's what I like. You guys keep that old school death metal feel, but you guys are playing like new school, new age death metal, because you guys you guys do bring parts back. You guys let riffs breathe, and you do repeat parts vocally, you know, so it's like something that I can grab onto after I've listened to the song a couple times, you know. So it's like I think that's important. Like you got to have songwriting. Like you can be as technical as you want all day long, you can be as shreddy as you want, but to me songwriting is huge, you know.
And that's always a big, you know, when we write our music, it's always one of the most important things for us as a band is to have song structure and repeating riffs and having catchy riffs and catchy vocal lines and catchy vocal cadences is all a big part of it, because a lot of it gets lost, and you know, most death metal now is riff done, and there's no repetition, there's no catchy hook, there's, you know what I mean, it's just
all about the money riff.
Yeah.
We are huge money riff dudes.
Yeah, I mean, if you write 4 or 5 cool riffs, bring them back, or you know, write four riffs and change them a little bit throughout the song. But that's what makes a great song, you know. Obviously, the music that you grew up listening to, all that did that. You talk about Sepultura Rise, you talk about Sound of Perseverance, you know, you know, all that music, and that's the same stuff Nick and I grew up on, and I think that's why we're such advocates for the songwriting, because riff soup is just, I don't know, man, it's just soup. I always say that. I don't like soup.
It's hard to come back to.
I like soup, man. Soup's good.
I don't like salad either. So riff salad, riff soup, I'm good on all that.
Yeah,
Keep
whatever.
That. Give me the breadsticks. I fucking want the, you know what I mean? I want the meat and potatoes. That's what I want, you know?
Yeah, songs that don't have structure, it's hard to come back to that album and like enjoy it and listen to it. You listen to it and you go, man, that one riff is really fucking sick. but why do they only play it one time? It makes no sense to me. Did nobody in the band realize how awesome that riff is? Could they not find a way to bring it back? Didn't they just sit down and discuss it? So when you have structure, you're at least giving your fans something to say. Can't wait till that riff comes back the second time. Maybe Colin's going to break it down with a different beat the second time, and it's going to be more impactful, and it's going to be twice as awesome the second time you hear it. So, I mean, if you're not writing songs with structure, it's always going to be a question mark to me. You look at classic rock, songs have structure, right? Like most songs have like verse, chorus, intro, outro, these sorts of things. Maybe a bridge in there. You bring it back for the last chorus, but other than that, it's a huge question mark for me. Where are we going with this?
Yeah, I know there was a lot of the mid 2000s metalcore bands tried to get away from the verse chorus structure, unless you're like like Killswitch Engage or As I Lay Dying, who lived and died by that. But a lot of the more like Misery Signals, early Misery Signals didn't really. If you go back and listen to Summer at End of June, that song does not have any verse chorus structure to it. It's a great song, but the riffs don't repeat. It's all riff, done. And I think especially in metal nowadays, well, death metal at least, I think song structure in a verse chorus setting is lost on a lot of it.
Yeah.
Cause, they don't like, well, this isn't pop. This isn't, we probably shouldn't follow a verse chorus, bridge, which we don't do it to that extent. But
you don't have to have the exact kill switch formula for everything. You don't have to have the pop structure, but just bring something back. I mean, there's bands that do it well. I love BT Bam, but that's like a whole different type of thing. I love Dillinger. That's a whole different type of thing. Obviously, with Greg and some of their later work, they did start bringing some things back and started doing some choruses and shit. But and it can be done well. I love Misery Signals too. I think with Misery Signals, it's a little different because they're so melodic, where the melodies are catchy. So it's like you don't have to hear it so many times because that melody line with the one guitar is playing it like kind of sticks in your head, But a lot of that hardcore, metalcore type stuff, like kind of all over. And nowadays, just everything's like tech black deathcore, and it's just like riff soup, vocal soup. It's just like let's just try to do the most extreme whatever. And to me, that just gets lost on me. I just think there's an art to it as well. Like you got to be able to curtail that back. It's cool you can do 52 vocals, but I don't need to hear them all in 4 minutes. It's like that's just not. That's just my personal taste.
The vocalists that don't stop and give the music a chance to breathe drives me absolutely fucking crazy.
Same.
So I just went to this Chaos and Carnage tour.
Yep.
And all the bands were sick as fuck, but like Carnifex played. And I don't want to talk shit on anybody, but just like their vocalist does that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that makes me not like Carnifex because the singer literally sings for 4.5 minutes for 10 songs straight. Like every breakdown, he comes in, he does, so it's just, to me, that's always, it's kind of like the thing with you with the riffs where the going right with the guitar, it just, same thing with the vocals.
It's just something, it just irks you. It just, it wouldn't irk most people.
Yeah.
But like, if there's, especially it's more of a musician thing, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But like, because Carnifex has a very wide range of fans.
Oh yeah, they're
so,
huge.
Like,
and they don't suck.
And they're fine. I don't care for them because I'm not much of a deathcore guy.
Right,
but
me neither.
My old band played open for them a few times. So it is what it is. But a lot of the vocal stuff is it can get really old.
Yeah.
Like if the guys, if they just don't, and that was my biggest thing on doing it for Throne was, if I'm going to write a good riff, I want them to hear it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't want to just put vocals over. And it also helps me live.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to, because I'm playing guitar and doing vocals at the same time. I'm overexerting two different motor skills and trying to also create a stage presence for, because we're there to entertain our the people that are playing in front of.
Yep.
So I don't like to just stand there. If I'm not doing vocals, I'm off. Standing on the stage monitor and pointing my guitar at people and making whatever faces at them and doing whatever. But so not having vocals throughout the whole song helps me to be able to pull back and kind of try to entertain as much as I can, since I am the front man of,
Yeah.
being in front and center of everybody. I gotta do it somehow.
Yeah, and
So-
I really feel like every single riff should have like no vocals on it at some point. You're either introducing the riff 1 or 2 times over and then you jump in with the vocals, or you're carrying a vocal over the beginning of it from like the last riff.
Yeah.
A scream carries over and then you let that scream fade away and then you just sink into the riff, because I need to hear what's going on, because otherwise it just becomes this wall of white noise with this person just screaming at you. I don't think enough people step back and listen to their own music and say, what's happening right here, because it's just a wall of noise with somebody screaming. There's a lot going on in extreme metal. Drums particularly. You guys are like nuts back there with the double kick, the snare, the grind, the blast. And if you got somebody screaming over that the whole time, sometimes I just tune out and I'm like, can we get to the next part, please? Because it's too much for anybody trying to listen to this stuff. I mean, people that like it, more power to them. But as a musician myself, I always question that as well. Like, what is happening right here? Because at no point did anybody step in and say, this is a little noisy. I don't know. I'll talk down about like that white noise sound. If it's just static and percussive and screaming, I'm like, I call it a cheap trick, honestly. It's like you can crescendo to that for like an instant or a moment, but then you really got to pull back, and then like the drums got to break down a little bit, the guitar's got to open up a little bit, and the vocals got to disappear. And then I need to hear music in a song come back to me. But you guys do a really great job of that. I just listened to the stuff again just to refresh myself, and I like that you'll be going ham for a minute, and then you just open it up with some chords, and like let the music breathe a little bit. Go into the guitar solo. Thank you. I love guitar solos.
We'll talk a little bit about that as well. To me, it's kind of like Charlie Brown's. When he's talking on the phone to his mom or whatever. It's like wah,
the teacher.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yep.
That's all I hear the whole time. It's just like, what the fuck is even happening? When it reminds me when you say like crescendo, it's kind of like the strapping young lad like City, where it just goes all like fucking crazy for a second and then it drops all the way down to something kind of clean or whatever. Yeah, so just on the Pestilent Dawn, just a few notes that I always kind of like to. So Amongst Sinners, it's got this real behemoth feel on it, but the riffs on it are just fucking sick. I like that. And They Shall Weep, there's like this crazy vocal effect thing going on that kind of stood out there. So I feel like you guys got a little bit of something in each song that kind of makes it different from the last song, like, because I noticed one of my notes. So Beyond Malice, there's this black metal as fuck part, and then it goes to like more of a melodic riff after that, and then I hear that's also the song with the high-pitched Clint scream, so it kind of like sets it off. But I swear to God, I'm hearing keyboards on that. Did I hear keyboards on that? No?
I've had people ask me that before.
What
too.
about All Creation Wept? Is there keyboards on that?
There's no keyboards on any of it.
Okay, because I'm like hearing this real like melodic background thing. It must just be the chords that you're playing.
Yeah,
the
certain chord that we're playing has almost has like an angelic like keyboard sound to it.
Okay. Yeah, because I just on those parts that are more like the black metal parts, they really stick out, and I'm just like, wow, that's pretty fucking sweet, but sounds awesome. Tell me a little bit about how you guys write. Like, what does that look like? You just
us too.
Yeah, it's essentially Colin and I. We what'll happen is I'll come up with a riff and I'll present it to Colin, and then he'll open up with the drum part, and then our songs kind of just snowball. And most of the time we'll show up to practice and I won't have any riffs written, and I'll just plug in my guitar and sit around and go, oh, that's catchy. And I'll show it to Colin, and Colin plays something, and I'll go, okay, and he needs to go into this, and then we'll write a song in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then that's how it's always been for the last 10 years.
But sometimes it'll be like, we write something, all right, we got 3 minutes and 40 seconds of this song, and we'll sit on it, we'll keep playing. I'm like, man, that one part just doesn't sound right. And one of us will be like, this part needs to be different. And then eventually it gets altered a little bit, and we're like, all right, right there, that's it. That's the one.
So you kind of get the skeleton together, and then it always kind of evolves from there. I think that's a natural progression.
Yeah.
And we sleeping on stuff too, especially if you're coming up with it at the spot, because sometimes shit sounds sweet, then you come back the next week or something, you're like, that's not as good as I thought it was.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't write riffs at home. I just can't do it.
Okay.
Like I have to have a drummer. or some form of drums being played in the background that allows me to write riffs, because it feels really weird when I'm at home and I pull my guitar out and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna try and write a song, and then I start getting into the riff writing. I'm just like, this is weird. I need something accompanying it to almost inspire me to go further with the riff. And I used to be able to write at home, but like playing with Colin, I'm just like, I have to jam with him.
Yeah.
I can't write without him.
Yeah, it's
So-
kind of hard too, because you might be hearing a certain beat and then you could play something completely different when you
Yep.
go to show it to him. And then you're kind of like, well, that's not exactly what I had in mind. And then it gets into that whole dichotomy of, okay, that's not, exactly what I wanted, but that'll work, you
Yep.
know? So now do you have any input, Colin, as far as like, hey, change that riff a little bit, these notes might sound better, or
Yeah, it won't be like to an exact like that.
Yeah.
I'll record. I'll pull out my phone and record
okay.
a lot. 80% of our rehearsals I'll
Okay.
record, especially when we're writing. Or our bass player, he's got mics and his computer and
Okay.
interface set up and stuff. He'll just pre-pro every practice if we want.
That's sweet.
But so I'll go home and listen to it when I'm bored. I'm like, man, that beat was on. That is off. That ain't on. And I'll come back like, man, we got to do something different here. Like that's pretty much the extent of it. If I want to change something, it's like this spot just ain't on. We got to alter that or.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty much record and listen to it. I think pre-pro is a very big important thing that bands should utilize more.
Mhm.
Because I know myself, you go into the studio and when he's playing it back to you, when your engineer's playing it back to you, it always sounds good. They
Yeah.
got badass monitors, all this, sound deprivation and shit up
Yeah,
in there.
yo.
It sounds great, but you get listening to it, you're like, man, I really wish I would have did this here. Or you get home and you start playing it as a band and you guys start tweaking just little bits after you just recorded your album. But if you would have pre-pro'd that shit and listened to it for a couple months, you could have saved yourself that.
Yeah.
And I really think that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think for anybody listening, that's a huge point to make is the pre-production aspect. Record yourself at practice, then take it home and listen to it, and really know what you're doing. So that when you get into the studio, you're not wasting anybody's time at all, but you also have it the way that you're sure that you want it. Like you didn't just like it one time, like Jay said initially when you wrote it. You've listened to it now 100 times on your own. For sure,
Yep.
I've done that. I've listened to the shit out of things and said, it needs to be better. It needs to be, like, this part needs to change. We need a different fill here. I don't want to repeat myself again. Or this vocal needs to go lower or higher. So if you're listening to your own music at home, and it can get a little cumbersome, perhaps. I mean, how many times do you want to listen to your own material? I listen to it all the time. Not currently, but in the middle of the process, right? It's like you just become consumed with it. I think you ought to be recording yourself at your practices, take it home and listen to it, and then maybe get creative on your own and bring it back to the practice space. But just get really good at your art. You just get really good at your craft, and then when you're bringing it to the studio, you're in and out of that, and then you can grow it a little bit, even if you want. Afterwards for the live performance,
Yeah.
Definitely.
add a little bit to it.
You're doing yourself a service if you're pre-productioning.
And your
it's-
fans, but if
yeah,
you-
that too. Yeah, but like, especially if you're trying to work out a song and you're really not feeling it, just listen to it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Someone will eventually click, and
Yeah.
you'll go, "Oh, that's what I need to do."
Yep.
And then, but if you're not doing that, I don't know. I think it's something that every band should do.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it for years up until this band actually.
Sure.
And it's a little extra work to set the mics up, but even like Colin said, just set up your phone in the corner of the
Mhm.
of the band space.
Yeah.
It might not sound great, but at least you're hearing something back to where you can go, okay, maybe change this here. Change that drum beat there. Vocal
Yeah.
pattern here seems a little whatever.
Yeah.
That's just what you need to do.
Sometimes it's as simple as just that has to be a different drum beat, and then you're
Yeah.
like, okay, now the riff flow is better. It could be something as simple as that. I have this Zoom handheld recorder that has like the XY mics on it. I think I paid $50 for it. It takes a little SD card. You set that bitch anywhere in the room and just make sure it's not peaking, and you can hear everything.
Yeah,
in
they
the
sound
room.
great. I used
Dude,
to have
yeah.
one.
So
Yeah.
just even something like that. But
That's all you got to do.
ever since I started doing that, I did have like a computer and all these mics and shit. I'm just like, this is a lot of work to record every practice like that. But once I got that thing, I just set it on a little mic stand in the back of the room, and then at least I can hear what we did, especially if because there can be. I understand how you write, but sometimes I'll come with either 4 or 5 riffs and be like, this is what I have in mind.
Most people do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, but sometimes I might just be like, hey, I might write a riff while I'm warming up my amp and then be like the same kind of thing. And then you start building on it. And then that's when you really want to listen to it. Because if it just comes into creation right there at practice, it definitely needs like an outside listen, because sometimes, like I said, you put those blinders on and you're like, that was fucking sweet. Because I don't know about you guys, but my favorite part of any music process is like writing new shit. Like,
It's
some people
always
love
fun. Yeah.
some people love the studio, some people love live, and like I like both of those things. But it's just like being in the room with the homies and like you're both smiling because that part's fucking sweet and heavy. You know,
Yup.
that's my favorite
Yup.
shit. Like,
It'll be Nate laughing his ass off. We come up with something sweet. Nate's about dropping his guitar.
yeah, it's like fucking
That's
man.
so fast.
We're like, how is this faster than the last song?
Nice.
Yeah, that's my favorite feeling when you could just be the 4 of you hearing it, or the 2 of you even. You're just like, yeah, dude, that's fucking awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
Just-
This is gonna be it.
yeah.
For me, it's performance. I think I put a lot of time in practicing at home once I know we have the song structured. And Jay writes by and large 99% of the stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I'll help him tweak it or orchestrate it in the room. Probably similar to Colin. I'll be like, let's do this or that differently. But I put so much time in personally at home because I want to give a good performance on stage. I need to have my performance on stage be as close to replicating the album as possible. Unless we've talked about extending a part or doing anything different live, like I'm all about the performance of it. I like writing, but that comes from Jay, so it's like
Yeah.
I don't get as excited about it. I'm kind of like, give it to me now. Just give me I want the final form. Show me, like, Jay, make sure you got it the way you want it, or if you need help on a part or you have questions about a part, that's fine too. I'm here for that. But for me, like, practice can be a little bit like cumbersome if we're trudging through a writing process. I'm kind of like, I already want it to be done. I like, give it to me finished, please. But I don't mind. I mean, if he shows me something that's fire the first time, I'm like, let's fucking go. Let's get
Yeah.
it. But yeah, for me, I got to have the performance. It's all geared toward I'm like goal oriented. So the goal is to give like an awesome show live. I feel like that's my goal. So
Do you guys have a certain, I should say, schedule as far as we're in a writing season now? I know we'll talk a little bit about your tours that you guys have went on and some things that are coming up also, but do you guys kind of approach it like that, or are you guys just always writing, or is it like, oh, it's just rehearsal time? Because I know you guys play a lot too for shows, so but sometimes that can be a little rehearsal within the show. So I guess my question is how do you kind of put those into categories where it's like, all right, it's time to practice our songs, it's time to write new songs, or it's time to whatever, or you guys just play it by ear? I mean,
Kind of by ear.
Yeah.
More for the most part, it's by ear. Like if we have a run of shows that are coming up, we'll kind of, if we're in the middle of writing a song, we'll just kind of put it to the side and make sure that we're practicing whatever set we're going to be playing for those shows is.
Mm.
And that's about it. Like
Yeah.
there's really we don't really have like a set schedule on when we're doing stuff.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the writing process kind of comes and goes with us.
Okay.
Like if I come up with a riff, or Tim comes up with a riff, or even Les comes up with a riff, and then it's brought to us. We'll even sometimes not even practice our set, and if we're stuck on a riff, we're just like, okay, let's just go, and then a song will disappear out of nowhere. But
Yeah.
that's about how it goes. It's always by ear.
So you guys are constantly writing, basically.
No, I would say for this last album that we just wrote that's not put out yet, we had so many shows. We booked the time and we weren't finished with our album yet.
Oh, okay.
So, and then we got shows. So we basically got to a point where like, fuck, we going in the studio in like this amount of time. Like we gotta buckle down here. And so we buckled down. But with the exception of that, it's pretty much practice for shows, practice for shows, practice for shows, practice for shows. Nate'll throw out a riff. Oh, fuck, we got a song. A week later, fuck, let's do it. Like, we start working on another
Yep.
song. Oh, fuck, we got it. Practice for shows, practice for shows.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah,
'Cause
it's
we're
kind of
always-
sporadic
Yeah,
there.
we're always constantly playing all the time, so
Yeah.
it's real hard for us to sit down and like have like a writing session
Okay, yeah, I get it.
unless we have like if there's like a solid period of time where we're not booked. and then maybe we'll do it. But
Okay.
it just really depends if the inspiration's there and if the writing process, if we're ready to do it yet. But we're not in the writing process at the moment because
Yeah.
we're waiting to release our newest record. So
Okay. What dictates if you guys put a solo in the song? Because you guys do have some solos. They're not on every song.
I do. It really is him.
Colin's like,
I'm
check
like,
this
dude,
out.
die bombs or bust.
That's right.
Nice.
Fucking rip.
But
and
as
get
far
out.
Wheels or
as,
not.
as
Yeah.
far as a solo goes, it really depends on if we listen to the song and if we feel the song warrants one,
Okay.
or if there's a passage in a song that goes, if it goes for an extended period of time, we're like, what really could we could do a solo here for this, from this bar to this bar of the song, and it would fill out the section of the song. That's it. Like it.
Okay.
I don't feel every song needs a ripping
Right.
80s hair metal
Yeah,
solo in
for sure.
it
I do.
all the time.
For sure.
I mean, to me, I mean, that's part of it for me. Is I grew up with it. I think nearly every song that you talk about, like the big four thrash metal,
Yeah.
and all the other good thrash metal bands outside of that. I feel like next to every song had a guitar solo in it, and back-to-back guitar solos for that matter, and labeled like in the song lyrics, it's like solo Gary Holt, solo Rick Hunnell. Here's Hatfield. Actually, it's probably always Hammett, honestly, but maybe Death. Chuck.
And
James
James,
Murphy.
Hetfield
Yeah.
wrote the solos for Hammond anyway.
Probably. Kirk fucked him up with the wah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But like
We only speak truth here at the Metal Maniacs.
I think that's a big part of that music for me, is just hearing a guitar solo, knowing that it's gonna happen. Like it's just usually after a chorus or the second chorus, whatever. Or they're gonna go to a bridge. Here's a whole new segment for you, and not only is it a new riff, but it's also a guitar solo. So for me, I know you can get away with not having them. That's fine. You probably shorter songs that way, right? Probably a 3 minute, 3.5 minute versus a 5 minute. But yeah, I think it's just when you're coming up with Megadeth and Marty Friedman and Dave Mustaine trading solos, it becomes an expectation for me.
Oh, well, sure. I mean, if you got guys at that caliber, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you guys can rip solos for 12 minutes, and I'll just sit there and watch and go, yeah, that was sweet.
yeah.
It can't. But also to your point, though, not every song needs it, or not everybody can listen to like a 2-minute solo on it.
No.
Like Hangar 18 is cool, but it's like 3 minutes of solo.
There's
the
like
end.
7 solos in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's really fucking long guitar solo work. So it can be like, even me, like I've heard that song so many times. I'm like, okay, once we get past the vocal part of the song, next, like I want to get on to Take No Prisoners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's if you like Megadeth.
So what do you got? What is your practice schedule like? Do you guys have set days or
Monday.
That's
So
it.
just
every Monday.
That is a
Every
great
Monday.
way to
Usually
start the
every
week.
Monday.
yeah?
That's a great way to start the week.
That's it.
We used to back when Joe was in the band, like the first year of him being in the band, we'd have like two practice days a week. We'd hit it real hard.
I love that.
But
That's how I like it.
a lot harder now.
Yeah, I mean,
When you guys play a lot, that counts for something. I like to remind people that when you're gigging as often as you are, like that is a session. Like you're actually getting together and playing your music, so that definitely counts.
Yeah, we won't practice. Say we have a show on Saturday and then practice next Monday. 9 times out of 10, we're not practicing that
Yeah.
Monday.
Well,
Yeah,
Same.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Makes sense.
usually, because a lot of the times for us, we're getting back to our practice space at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're
Just
exhausted.
Throw
We're-
everything
we
in that
hate, we hate
motherfucker.
everything. We're just
Yeah.
like, oh, this sucks.
yeah.
We have to unload the trailer, put it all in the storage unit,
Yep.
take the trailer back to Les's house.
Yep.
It's
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Muscling around your own gear, and by the time
oh yeah,
Worst
So-
part.
that's
Yeah.
always been the worst part of
Yeah.
being in a
Always
band
the
is
worst part.
loading and unloading your gear.
Yeah.
It's always the worst.
Yes, I have gear out in the car and I bring it down here, just some gear because I keep some at practice and some here. But then I have my wife help me carry it down, and then she's like, "I didn't sign up for this." I'm like, "This is the worst part. You got to help me carry this shit." That's what happens when you marry a musician. I don't know what
Yep.
to tell you. Like,
You're
gotta
now a
car-
roadie.
Yeah, got to help me carry this shit around.
I love when they know to do it on their own without direction. Like that's fucking wife material right there.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
she-
Oh, you've unlocked the secret code then, bud.
yeah. You don't need to cook for me, but you do have to carry that guitar.
That's right.
So I know that Tim, he's your new guitar player, right?
Yeah.
Or newer, I should say. He's probably
Yep.
been in the band
For
how
about a
long?
year now.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. So, how do you guys have time? Because I know you guys have other projects too. You're in a different project as well, right?
I'm in a few different
Okay,
projects.
you're in a few projects.
I'm in one other one.
Just
Yeah.
Jesus Wept then? Okay. And then Tim, is he in that Assimilator
Yep.
band? Because I'm like, their stuff started coming up on my page. Do you guys just tour with them too?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
we just
pull
did a
double
little,
duty?
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
Because the stuff started coming up my page because like I seen you guys, like if you're on tour with a band, I'll obviously check out that other band or
Yeah.
whatever. Then like their video came up and I'm like, I swear that's the dude in Throne. What the fuck? And then I was just like, oh, that must be his other project
Yeah.
too. So how does that all fit in as far as schedules of doing other projects?
So Tim usually can only practice with us about every other week because he's from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So he drives about an hour and a half
One way.
one way to get to practice with us. So he only practices us once every other week, and our practices don't really interfere with anything Assimilator does. So that's pretty much how it goes there. So, but as far as that goes, he he makes the time to do everything with us, and it doesn't really affect Assimilator stuff because Assimilator isn't super active.
Okay.
So he puts a lot more time into playing with us because we are way more active.
Yes.
So
But what about Jesus Wept or your other projects, Colin?
My projects pretty much revolve around what I'm doing. So like, I think I would say everything else to me is a side project. So
Okay.
like, can you jam this Sunday? Can you do this? Oh no, I'm gonna be in Muskegon. Can't.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
mine doesn't interfere with my throne time. It just burns me the fuck out because when you don't have a lot going on, being ADHD, you're like, fuck, I need another project. I need this. I need that. I want
yeah.
some music coming out. And then when it's all going, you burn out.
Yeah.
You got 4 practices a week type shit.
Yeah. That seems like a
but
lot.
for Jesus Wept, we're not super active. I'm trying to get us to being more active. We don't practice a whole lot, and I'm trying to get us on a weekly schedule for us to start getting a little bit more active. But Robbie, the guitar player, is going through medical school.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of work.
A little bit, yeah.
Just a smidge.
We have played more shows without Robbie than we have with him.
Oh, no shit.
And we usually get a fill-in guitar player
Okay.
that will play Robbie's stuff. And Cody's really busy because he gigs on the side, does a lot of cover band stuff.
Okay.
I think he's still doing that. I'm not sure. I haven't asked him, but and Chris, the vocalist, is a social worker for schools.
Okay.
So his weeks are usually filled with. Oh, now he's fine now because school's it's out now. But,
Okay. Yeah. So summer's a little more.
Summer's a little
free for him.
easier for
Yeah,
him.
Yeah.
But Cody is usually gigged out like 3 or 4 months, so it's really hard for us to schedule anything with him. But I think he was talking about leaving and trying to put more time into doing Wept stuff.
Okay. Cool.
Because I mean, Wept has been playing shows just as long as Throne has, but Wep's played maybe a third of the amount of Thrones has.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, you guys are from Jackson, both of you guys?
Yeah.
So what does that look like with the other projects then too? Do they come to you? Do you go to them? Or is it something that you're sharing files? Or does everybody just live everywhere? Or are they more Jackson-based projects? Obviously, Tim not, but...
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Les also lives in Jackson too.
Okay,
so,
that's
so
perfect.
Tim comes to us
Okay, yeah.
because it wouldn't make any sense for the three of
Yeah.
us to go to him.
Well, that's what I meant. I know
Yeah.
Tim's got his other project down there,
Yep.
right? But I'm just saying, as far as you guys' other projects, they're all Jackson-based projects then?
No, Wept, we practice in Detroit.
Oh,
Wept
okay.
does. So whenever I go, I got to drive out to Detroit for it. But with everyone's schedules, we only really can get together once every month or so. 'Cause
Okay.
everyone's schedules are just so sporadic.
Yeah.
But for Colin, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I'm in a black metal band called Shadows and Shroud Us, and
Okay.
everybody lives in Jackson as well.
Okay.
But pretty much most of the time, everyone will come to me to jam, to rehearse.
Yeah.
But every other project's like all over.
Yeah. It's a little harder too, unless there's like a kit there, and then you have to carry your kit around.
Oh,
or whatever,
yeah,
too. That's kind of a pain in the ass,
I'm a
It's like,
stickler about my set, so I'm
Yeah.
always bringing my own shit.
yeah.
I hate moving gear so bad. I'll
Yeah,
leave it
it's
there.
awful, dude.
Drums are the worst too, I think, because like at least guitar cabs just have handles, and you just put the shit in there. But the drums, all the different drums, and
So they're
breaking them down and trying to keep them nice too.
Say
so
these
it's
guys
like-
are busy at a show. For me to get, if I have to get all my own drum set inside, it's 14 trips. And that's a couple like packed arm trips
Yeah,
too.
with all your stands
14
and
trips
shit.
with no other
Yeah,
help. So yeah,
so-
it's fucking sucks. dude. I don't like it. Drum sucks.
It's awful.
drums are really
expensive
really,
too,
I was just gonna
dude.
say fucking expensive. Do you have a second kit?
I have 3 kits. I
3
only
kits.
use one. Like once I get a kit nicer than the last one, is fucking to the dungeon with you. I don't give a fuck about it anymore. Sitting on a pallet in grandma's garage.
That's right.
So you don't like just cherry pick some of the better parts for the other kits, like maybe leave it at another spot or
No, I did for a while. I had another decent kit, and a band I used to be in, guitar player smashed it with a big fucking log.
Damn.
So yeah, that thing ain't in commission anymore. So no, I pretty much just take the one kit
The one kit.
everywhere. Get real used to like how that kit feels and sounds, So
Yeah.
I get one nicer than the last, and I don't
Yeah.
touch the last one.
got several basses, but I only like playing the one that I'm currently playing. Like
Exactly.
going to the other, this fretboard.
Stepping
is-
back, yeah.
The action's different. The fretboard's wider. Like, fuck, I hate this thing.
Yeah, you just get used to playing it, the same one all the time. So I want to talk a little bit about some shows with you guys. I see you got one for sure. I mean, I know you guys are always doing shows, but you guys are playing at the Sanctuary with Goatwhore and Vitriol and Recorruptor, so that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Nice bill.
Yeah, Vitriol, they were on that bill that I seen. They were pretty sweet. I like those guys.
Angry as fuck. One of the
And-
angriest bands out there, I feel like.
You played with Goatwhore before too, obviously.
Yeah, we played with Goatwhore,
And Vitriol.
and
Oh.
we've played with them both. Goatwhore was like that was way back in 18.
Oh, really?
That was I say that show and the Exhumed show were the 2 shows that kind of put us on the map in Michigan for
Okay.
where the most people got to see us,
Nice.
and that's where everything kind of went from there.
Hell yeah. So what are some shows you guys got coming up besides that one on September 15th?
We've got one in July. We're going down to Chicago. We're playing with Lividity and Celestial Serpent. So that'll be pretty cool. I don't know if you're familiar with Lividity at
No,
all. They're like a legendary like gross death metal band from like
Okay.
the late 90s. Yeah, their music's all about like debauchery and the-
Surprised I haven't heard of them.
all that. And then we actually just announced the show for November, which is out in Delaware.
Yep,
And
I've
we're
seen the flyer
the one
yesterday
for
that.
Deteriorate and Night Hag. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. I don't think we've got anything else at the moment. We are currently trying to book a tour for October, but
Okay.
we'll that's in the works still.
Who's doing all these bookings?
Tim,
Oh, okay.
our guitar player, books most of our stuff for us.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool. So you brought him in, and he kind of was able to help on that end as far as
that
booking and
was
shit, like.
that was the one of the biggest reasons why he's in the band is because he had booking connections and was able to kind of get us out of Michigan.
Okay.
What did that
And-
look like before he joined the band then? Because you guys were plenty active before him, right?
We just did a ton of Michigan shows.
Okay.
I mean, we would maybe play Indiana once, we'd do Ohio once, but like as far as touring or anything,
Didn't have anyone that could
we just
leave their job for more than a weekend
Oh,
yeah.
to get a tour down.
nope.
So you guys are able to do that sort of thing then? You get the time off or you
Oh,
have,
yeah.
you like
Yeah.
schedule yourself on your job?
I'm self-employed, so I just have
Okay.
to bite the bullet and fucking not make money for however long,
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
maybe
my
you-
job's pretty lenient. My boss is pretty cool. He knows
They
you
get
know,
it.
he understands where music's at for me and everything.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Music
he
is
doesn't
life,
try to hammer it down. He's like, well, you'll just make up whatever days you're gone. You'll just work overtime or whatever, or
Sure.
not overtime, but more hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, well, that's fine. So
Yeah. So you guys just at the beginning of June, you guys were out on that recent tour run with Assimilator,
Yeah.
right? and that was like 6-1 through 6-8. But you guys were everywhere. You were in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, New York, Buffalo, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Louisville, Indianapolis. So tell me a little bit about that run and what that looked like.
It was a good time,
Yeah.
but
Touring's rough. It's okay.
yeah,
I mean, I've never really toured, but everybody only ever says it's hard. So why don't you speak to that for us?
Well, it's hard as far as, getting out of the van. You gotta, you're sleeping in parking lots, you're doing all that kind of stuff, but it's fun if you're with the right group of people.
Okay.
I feel like the hard part comes from everyone not getting along.
Sure.
So, like, because you're stuck in a van with the same 4 dudes for X amount of time, and if no one's getting along, it makes the whole thing miserable, and it makes the tour a lot harder. But
Sure.
if everyone gets along, like all of us in Throne, it's just like we're 4 dudes hanging out.
Endless laughs the whole time.
Endless laugh. It never.
Perfect.
It's we're no
Poop
one's
jokes.
arguing, no one's fighting with each other. It's fun, and it's some of the most fun I've ever been out on tour with anybody. So
I feel like you got to be like a group of people that can sleep in the worst conditions, go without a shower a day, 2, 3, whatever.
Yup.
And be okay with it, because I think I would come unglued a little bit. I'm just too used to being comfortable at home. I don't know, but for me, like that, sleep in that bed, waking up to that shower. Oh yeah, baby. That's where I would become not fun. Like,
Mhm.
where's Mod's sense of humor? Well, I left it at home with my bed and my shower.
So I always tell people that haven't toured before, the appreciation for being clean just becomes so much more apparent when you're on tour. And when you're on day 4 without a shower, and you go to a venue for a green room that has one,
Oh,
and
God.
you actually get to shower once, it is like no amount of money can.
Okay. So
you know what I mean? It's like
I feel like this is one that's always been a curiosity to me. Beds are maybe a question mark. You don't know if you're getting a bed or not. A shower, like you said, maybe a green room, so you can maybe hope for one along the way.
hotel. Maybe you get
Laundry.
one hotel.
Like, what are you doing about? Are you just carrying like one stinky bag of fucking sweaty clothes, or are you just also hoping that somewhere along the way you can do laundry like once a week? Is that a thing? Like, or do you guys just bring enough clothes and only wear them one time? Because I know you're just sweating your ass off. There's no fucking way I'm getting into sweaty clothes the next day. Fuck that. Like, what are you, dunking them in water? Like,
You got to either bring enough clothes to last, or so this last tour we did in June was my 7th tour, and it was
My
the first,
5 or 6.
first
Yeah.
time I was ever able to do laundry
Okay.
on a tour. So that's pretty rare, unless you get like a Homes First, some real nice hotel that
Okay.
offers laundry. You probably aren't gonna have enough time to like go to a laundromat somewhere, and if you do, it's gonna be somewhere you probably don't want to hang out at for
Right.
2 hours.
Yeah,
you
no
know,
shit. Yeah,
But,
laundry
You
mats.
might get lucky. You might get lucky, get a day off, go to somewhere and be like, okay, so we've got all day. Your day is spent, doing laundry, getting showers,
Yeah, washing
trying,
Yeah.
because tour is a lot of sleeping in pilots and Flying J's parking lots and
Yeah.
everything. And if you want, you can spend $17 to take a shower at any one of those places. But you know what I mean? Do you want to spend $17 to take a shower? You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's you got to
Yeah.
look at the lucrative end
Yeah.
of it too, because I know touring is everything is on a budget, and you know what. So how do you get a turnout at Century at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? Like, I'm just wondering, like, what does that look like?
So
not
usually,
very good.
yeah. When it comes to booking a tour, usually the outside bands aren't the bands that are supposed to promote it. It's supposed to be the locals, and the promoter that is running the show is supposed to be the one that's supposed to get the people there.
In the venue.
Or if you've got enough pull
Yeah, of course.
as a band,
Yeah.
you can get people there just based on your pull.
Right.
But we hadn't been to Philadelphia. We hadn't been to Pittsburgh.
Right.
We've never been to Buffalo. We've never been to Brooklyn. So the shows weren't exactly that good for the first 3 days, because we don't feel the locals promoted. We don't
Yeah.
feel. I mean, the promoters did minimal work, but Buffalo was the first good show of that tour.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just wondering because obviously, it's like a 7-day, 8-day run or whatever, not including probably getting there and getting back, so maybe 10 days total. But I was just wondering because if you don't have that pull, it's like, what do those shows look like? Because, if you had the kind of budget, you could probably run a pre-Facebook ad there and get people acclimated with your music, and then hopefully that you could get them to the show. But that's like even a lot of more pre-planning and money to put into promotion ahead of time, right? So it's just like, but you at least have the experience of doing that. So how did this tour different than the one you did with Mortis Gold back in January then?
Well, Mortis Gold has pull.
Okay. Yeah.
So
you can expect people at those shows.
They're 30-year legends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've been around the block a few times.
Those
so
shows were sick.
Those shows
Yeah.
were fucking cool.
Yeah. Plus they were down south, right? More like Texas area.
No, that was last year.
Oh, last year? Okay.
When we
Okay.
did our run with our buddies in Cryptic Mutation.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I got
Mortis
that.
Gold
I'm
was in
sorry.
January.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just a smaller
5 days.
Yeah, 5 days. So okay, yeah, I got last year in June you guys hit the south with Cryptic Mutation.
Yeah. That was a ton of fun too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hot as fuck though.
Yeah, new level, man. New level.
Oh man.
I bet touring the south.
So we played a show on that run in San Antonio, and it was at a flea market down in San Antonio. It was 110 degrees outside, and we played outside.
So
No
quick,
awning, nothing.
Just sun
Straight sun
giving
on
it
your
to ya.
face.
Needless to say, we didn't wear leather vests that night.
Oh, we did.
Oh, I did.
There's pictures of us.
I was
where
like, fuck
and
that.
if you see the picture of us, like my face is just completely red
Just
because
scorched.
it's so hot.
damn.
And it was so hot outside, it flipped the breaker on the PA system, and our set got 10 minutes cut short. Because
Oh,
of
I
it.
forgot about
Yeah, you remember that shit?
That was us.
And you had to
yeah.
use a house kit.
Yeah, it's my nemesis.
really?
Oh yeah,
That
dude, it was
awesome.
awful.
Dude,
So I
that
have
always
like
sucks.
a personal like standing rule that it's like pants only on the stage. Like you don't
Pretty
wear
much.
shorts. I
Yeah.
am willing to negotiate that for an outdoor venue. There's pictures of me performing in shorts because it's outside and it's 100 fucking degrees outside. How do you feel about that, Nate? You're out front. Drummers, you get the pass always.
He
you want,
can.
you want to wear gym shorts?
He's
only?
fine. He's fine, but
I'm
he
not cool
normally
with the gym
doesn't.
shorts though.
Yeah, he normally doesn't. But even in 100-degree weather, 110-degree weather, I still
Jeans.
kept the aesthetic.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, nah, we're not gonna.
Yeah.
I don't want to fuck with
Break
this.
from
I
it,
want
yeah.
to keep it because it's weird if you see all these pictures that we all look the same, and then there's the one picture where, I'm in shorts or whatever, and
Yeah.
it just looks
Tank
goofy,
top and shorts,
like
yeah.
so it's like, nah, we're just gonna do it.
Yeah, you keep
So-
with that certain aesthetic for the
Yeah.
band.
Yeah,
Good
those
choice.
those leather vests, man, get disgusting
Oh, I
I
bet.
bet.
during tour.
Yeah.
There goes a laundry question. I gotta know.
But you can't wash the leather vest.
Just
Yeah.
wipe it down.
Like, no,
Bro, I'll
you
pull
just-
mine out the next day
Yeah.
and it's still like
Sticky.
yeah, sticky. Yeah,
Holding it up,
It's-
just
you
you
dripping.
can see the humidity on it and shit.
Yeah.
for- just
God.
vile. Like,
That's
oh
hilarious.
man.
Yeah, I heard that some of those black metal bands that have like the full leather garb, like if you're on tour with them and they just hang it in the back of the trailer, and then when you open it up, it's just
It's
fucking rancid because it's just sweaty leather and then fucking probably corpse paint on the
Yeah.
fucking.
oh, dude, it's
Fresh off the cow.
Yup.
Fuck, yeah.
It's gross.
So you guys been around the block for quite a long time as far as shows. What are some of your favorite shows that you've done? I mean, you got any that really kind of stand out off the top of your head that kind of were like, yeah, that was. I know you had
That's what I'm
mentioned
going
it
for.
a little bit before, but a couple of them that stand out to you that you're just like, that show was fucking the shit.
There's quite a few of them.
Yeah,
My favorite one was when we got to open for At the Gates at Sanders Hall.
nice.
That one was cool.
That makes sense.
Uh,
For me, that was my least favorite because I probably should have fucking been there. Because I still have yet to see At the Gates. God damn it.
Same. They're on the bucket list.
I don't know. What about you, Colin? You have
I think Summer Slaughter when we had to play a battle of the bands to get on Summer Slaughter,
Oh yeah.
and we got on that, and then just a couple bands that everybody in the scene around here sees, you know, that I don't really fuck with. They all had to open up for us, you know, and we got to go on the main stage and shit after.
At the Crowfoot, it was cool.
After some of these bands, you know, that may or may not think they're the fucking hottest shit around, you know, but
I don't like that shit.
Yeah, so it was really cool to be able to be like, you know, we got to play on the main stage after them. Everyone else is like in little side rooms and shit. So it really felt good.
And more on that too. The bands in question, we didn't even have to get on the battle. They didn't have to go through the channels we did to get on that show.
Okay.
They just got put on it because they know somebody or whatever. We had to go win a battle of the bands in Lansing to get on it, you know. So it was just like, all right, well, and then seeing that they had to open for us, I thought that was I was like, oh, cool. I mean, you know, our hard work of having to go do something else to get on this paid off because we got to play right before the tour package.
Yeah,
so
that
was
was
cool.
Yeah, the Crowfoot's always weird like that. I've been to 2 shows there now, the Chaos and Carnage, and then I went to that Bleeding Through 20th anniversary show.
Yeah, I was there too.
You were
yeah,
there
I
too.
think I ran into
you.
Yeah.
But they always kind of do that. It's like I for this show and that show, I bought the tickets, and then all of a sudden, then the flyer changes to 35 other bands that add on the bill afterwards. I'm like, oh, holy shit! Like, that's
but then you got bands going on the Pike room, and then there's the Verner's room on the side,
which I didn't even know that existed until this Chaos and Carnage thing, because they didn't have that the last time. The Bleeding Through show was kind of nice because you could kind of go up, go down, and you just catch a band every time. But the Chaos and Carnage, like, everybody was playing at the same time, and that's kind of rough when everybody's playing at the same time.
Too much going on at once.
Yeah, because that's
like the chaos of it.
I mean, most people there though are like, I would have loved to see Nethergate there because they played there at this, but they're playing at the same time as Vitriol's playing or Humanity's Last Breath, and I bought the tickets for these bands that are on the actual ticket. So no offense to the locals, it's just like I didn't get to see you because you're playing at the same time as one of these bands that I went there to see, you know. So that's kind of a downfall sometimes. Crowfoot just must do that a lot, where when they have a package and then they just have a bunch of bands play.
Kind of.
Any big fest they have will be like that.
Yeah.
If they're doing a major show and they're putting multiple bands on it, it's going to be like that. And it's one of those things where you're on the show if you're a smaller local band. Oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, we're opening for this band and this band and this band. I was like, yeah, you're going to get put.
Yeah.
During, you know, for Nethergate, you know, like they got stuck having to play during one of the headliners.
Yeah.
So their poll probably wasn't this big because everyone was there to see the main acts and not the local side bands.
But when you say that Summer Slaughter thing, it was probably like the Bleeding Through thing where See You Next Tuesday played, but they kind of opened up that whole. They were kind of the first band on the main stage before the whole thing started, you know. That 20th. So that's kind of what you're talking about. That's when you guys kind of got to play right before everybody on that big stage, right?
2 bands play the main stage before us, 2 locals.
Okay.
And then we got to, but they also had like 5 or 6, maybe more bands playing those other little stages
Rooms
too.
And shit. Yeah, it just becomes kind of a lot, man.
Like a healthy staggered show. I like to know that I have at least a choice between A and B, and it's clear cut. I'm going to see one or the other. But if there's any more than that going on at a time, I feel like it's poor planning on the festival's part.
That's why I like that Bleeding Through show, though, is because you could go up, watch the band that was up there, and then go down and watch the band.
It was proper. It was properly staggered.
Yeah, so then I could see all the bands, so I could at least see 2 or 3 songs from every single band, and that's kind of how I like it because I can just get a glimpse of everybody. And of course, on the main stage when Bleeding Through, Walls of Jericho, all that was playing, it was like, that's where you're gonna be, you know. But
man, that Dead to Fall was
dude, they were great.
That was so good.
Dude, they were so good. But Walls of Jericho blew my fucking mind that night. I was absolutely blown away. I didn't going into that. I'm a death metal guy. I don't know much about Walls of Jericho. They kind of just went under the radar with all that kind of 2000s metalcore, hardcore type shit that it's not that I dislike it, but the show that they put on, still one of the best shows I've ever seen. I was like,
they've been around for a while, and
they just put on a hell of a show.
They're good. Like,
how to work the
Dead to Fall was my favorite because
they were good though.
Because Villainy and Virtue was, that record, Bastard Set of Dreams and Torn Self, and that was my high school. You know? So like getting to see them again. because I played with them a few times back in mid 2000s, but it had been my first time seeing them in probably 15 years. So that was really cool. Nostalgia.
Yeah, I remember the singer had a Cephalic Carnage shirt on too. I was like, "Yep, you know that shit."
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, what about a couple worse shows? You got any hideous?
Oh
shows?
boy, do we ever?
Empty rooms, terrible fans.
Not really empty rooms.
Yeah,
We
it's
played
just
an
like-
empty one pretty recently, actually.
Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
yeah. The
empty ones are going to happen. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just, you know what I mean, until you're super established, which you guys will be there shortly in no
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
it's not more the empty rooms. I'm just kind of wondering some of your.
Yeah, what's worse
like,
than an empty room?
Yeah.
Train wreck on stage.
Yeah, train wrecks or like
Ooh.
having to use a house kit or.
Yeah.
shit
or
like
a
that.
terrible sound guy.
Oh, there you go. Yes. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, our most recent show in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, that was
with the sound dude
unfortunate.
that didn't know how to turn the bass down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You guys have the perfect bassist for that, but still, you can't have
no.
can't have Les be like the only person being heard. In your
We
band.
were there and we.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear no more bass. I was like, turn that shit down, dude.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so do you know the band Tiny Tree or Addison Eilers who used to kind of jam, if he dies, he dies?
Yes.
Yeah, so they played a show at the Pyramid Scheme, like their comeback show, and Addison ran sound. He did fucking incredible. The shit
Chef's
sounded
kiss.
awesome because I did some video stuff for them, and I matched it up with the sound. I mean, they played awesome. Everything sounded great, so I matched up the video and all that. Perfect. And then we go there, and that was the second show that I've seen at the Pyramid Scheme in that little bit of short of time.
Yeah.
And then it was just so much
Night and
bass.
day.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on, dude? It was just like every band just was bass, and then there was other instruments happening
Yep.
somewhere on the stage.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm trying to think of what our worst show was.
I'm saying anything that sticks out at you.
I mean, we've played a couple duds on tours
Yeah.
before. I mean, Brooklyn was pretty. We sounded fine and we played
Yeah,
fine. It's
yeah.
just we played maybe in front of 5 people, 6
Yeah.
people, But I'm trying to think of something where like we just catastrophically sounded something happened on stage, broke a string, or
Yeah.
Collins triggers went out or something like that.
That's
But,
always
like,
the worst too.
Like we
They're
haven't
try-
really had anything where it's been too terrible.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I
Or
think
if
just-
they're trying to mic your kick drum and you're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Oh,
Like-
I hate being that guy. I'm always like, no mic on the kick drum.
Yeah.
And every now and then, I just got it there to look. Nope, I don't even, because then you're fucking tempted to start fucking with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
no
don't-
mic on my kick drum.
This is death metal. I know you're just a sound guy and you don't really know sometimes about this, but we're not miking the fucking kick drum, bro.
Yeah.
This ain't
Right.
this ain't rock.
Yeah, they'll be, I'd like to blend it with
Yeah.
your trigger
No,
sample
no.
a little bit.
No, you will not, because as soon
And
as
it's
you
gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's gone.
Yeah, as soon as you start blending this massive fucking wall of kick drums, like it's just gonna be a wall the whole
Yeah.
you're not blending
can-
that.
I could probably say I can tell shows that felt like they were bad.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we played Oigs Fest in April
Kalamazoo,
in
right?
Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
And all I could hear was my guitar just screaming into my ear because the way that stage is set up at Papa Pete's,
Yeah.
there's no like the on-stage monitors don't really get rid of a lot of the stage volume.
Yeah.
So, and I was directly in front of my amp because the stage is really
Yeah, they got 'em
awkwardly,
s-
like-
they got
like it's like to the side.
yeah, you
like
kind of side wash on it. It's kind
diagonal.
of weird, yeah.
And all I could hear was my guitar just screaming at me, and then Les's bass just flaring out
Oh,
in
man.
the from the monitor. So like the only thing I'm fixated on is my guitar like in my ear, and anytime if I like flubbed a note, it sounded like that was all anyone heard out there, and it just completely destroyed my excitement for the show.
Yeah.
But like I've heard live videos from that show and everything sounded fine. It just on stage it just sounded way worse.
It's funny you say that because
Yeah.
the last time we played there, that exact same thing happened to me too. And then I watched a video and back, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't play that bad."
yeah,
I was like,
that's
I was like, "Sound pretty."
I
fucking
always
good,
try
actually."
to not get super critiqued on it because usually what you hear on stage is not what they hear out there.
True.
So
Oh, I got
And
one.
then-
I got one.
oh, he's got one.
So this was about a year ago. We were playing a show. I don't even remember where it was at. We headlined. Everyone wanted an encore. And our new guitar player only knows so much. So we go to play Born at Death. And I only know this because I have a video and I just watched it the other day. Like, what? This shit happened?
That was at No Class.
Yeah, No Class.
That was in Cleveland.
In Cleveland last June. And
Yep, that was our
Tim goes to start this song off and totally fucking plays it wrong. But like instead of just like everyone else like not so everyone else tried to like come in with it. And I'm
Dude,
just back here like, what?
Poor guy.
Oh man.
But that was actually, we played like a super crushing set. The crowd went
Yeah.
nuts for us.
Yeah.
Everyone was super excited.
No, it was funny.
It was
cool.
great-
But
it was-
that's literally like the worst thing we've had happen.
Yeah.
It was a great show, but like just that particular moment was really.
It was funny.
I tried to play it off like, hey guys, we haven't played the song all tour, so I tried to
Yeah.
crack a joke about it,
Right.
like
But then the pit got violent as soon
Yeah,
as we
yeah.
actually did break
Started
into the
yeah,
song.
smashing
So it was
so-
cool.
Nice. All right, man. I got a few more questions for you guys. I don't want to keep you all day, but I do want to make it worth your time for coming out. Like I said, again, thank you guys so much for fucking coming out.
Yeah.
Appreciate you taking a drive over here. It's cool to sit
No
down
problem.
and talk to you guys, you know.
Definitely.
But I got a little bit more if you guys you still got a
Absolutely.
little bit of time. All right, cool. So let's talk about this new album because usually I ask what's next, and I'll still ask you that question. But we talked a little bit before the show. I got to go on LimeWire and download the new album. So
LimeWire.
Pirate bit.
He said
So-
that and was like, wait, did he just say LimeWire?
So I just typed in Throne on LimeWire and I got the new album
Love
that
it.
no one else has heard. I just want to say that just when you thought you guys couldn't get any better, you did. So thank you for
Alright.
that.
I'm excited.
I'm not going to go into any super details. I'm going to leave that leave that up to you guys for whatever it is that you want to speak on about it. I know we have a new album coming out. The production is amazing. I know we went back to this Andy, right?
Yep.
That's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. You could tell he's even gotten better because the tones on this record, from the bass tone, guitar tone, the drum tone, everything is even leveled up even more. And you guys' shit already sounded top notch. I mean, because I know how hard it is to record death metal when you're blasting the whole time. I want every snare, I want every kick. Helps that you're tight as fuck too, and you can play all that stuff perfectly probably in the studio. But I noticed a few things on that. To me, I'm not giving too much away here by saying this, I think, but I feel like we're a little more death metal this time and a little less Blackened death metal. Like if you take that for what that is, I guess, you know, I can always cut this out if that gives away too much, but I just feel we're a little more death metal on this album. Not that you guys weren't death metal before, but just a little less of the blackened chords and some of that black metal stuff. Still crushing, groovy as fuck. Couple things we've talked about that I thought were really cool, but you guys will have to hear it when it comes out, and then maybe we'll talk a little. We could always talk more about it sometime down the road. You know, even if we get on a Zoom call when it comes out or something,
Sure.
we can help promote it or whatever you want to do. But yeah, man, fucking new album's badass, dude.
Thank you.
So, LimeWire did it.
LimeWire.
So, what is there anything you guys want to speak on that? You know, you gotta. So, you guys are on Redefining Darkness Records.
Yeah.
When did you want to talk a little bit about that? Is that when these guys came into the fold, or had they been part of the process before?
We
should've asked that
we
earlier.
released Pestilent Dawn through Redefining
Okay.
Darkness.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
I had
the
a
first.
feeling
That was the first thing we did through them.
Okay. Cool. And then they got a hand in this as well.
Yeah. Thomas is gonna put it out. We are hoping that it's gonna come out sometime in October.
Okay.
That's supposed to be. We're supposed to be debuting a single here in the next month or two.
Okay.
So we're hoping sometime maybe mid-July, August-ish,
Okay.
coming out
cool.
with a single. We have been playing some newer material live.
Okay.
So some people have heard some of the newer stuff if they've seen us live in the last, 6 months.
Okay.
So
Cool. So just the October date. Do you have a name, or we're not even revealing the name of the album yet? Or
It's as good as a place as any.
I mean, yeah, the name of the record is now I can't even remember the name of the record.
On the spot.
That Who Sat Upon Him Was Death is the name of the album.
Okay. Cool. Everything pretty much good to go on it though.
Oh yeah.
Right,
It's been
Artwork.
finished
all that
for
shit.
months.
Yeah,
Okay.
we recorded it in October of last year.
Okay.
So we've been sitting on it for almost a year now.
How do-
Impatiently waiting.
I was gonna say, how does that feel?
Sucks.
It sucks. it's. I mean, I've shown a handful of people the album. You heard it. A few other people that I trust that won't
You're right.
share it around
Yeah,
to anybody.
exactly. That's why I didn't even share it with Nick, and because I
Haven't
was
heard a
like,
word.
I wanted to make sure that was something that cleared with you guys.
Yeah.
And I probably should have, but at the same
Well-
time, I was just like, I was going to ask you, and then I was kind of like, well, we're not going to talk about it that much. We're just going to say that there's a new album out,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it's
I'm also going
'Cause
to
we
want
don't
to
wanna do
enjoy it as the full package. Like, I'm going to want to see the artwork. I'm going to want to read the lyrics and all of that at the same time. So it's all right. I don't mind waiting on these things.
it's worth the wait. It's a
I
great
caught up.
great
Thank
album.
you.
So
Thank you.
really looking forward to when you guys come out with that. So, so with that being said, is that all you want to kind of say about it right now? Is there anything else you want
I
to say
mean, if
about
there's
it?
anything you want to ask us about it, you can.
Just-
Just without being too revealing, I guess.
Well, can we talk a little bit about the production? And
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
thi-
yeah,
and-
absolutely.
And how things were different a little bit this time for
Yeah.
you guys, and what that experience was like.
This time around, I'll circle back to Pestle at Dawn. When we did Pestle at Dawn, we quad tracked our guitars.
Okay.
So I did. Joe did 2, and I did 2. For this one, we didn't do that. We just went to the single, Tim and me,
Hard pan?
Yeah.
Okay.
and we used an Engel Powerball for
Okay.
this album. My Framus didn't make it onto the record, unfortunately, but I think the guitar tone sounds better than it did on Pestle and Dawn.
Yeah.
Did you guys like match guitar tones? Like, so same tone basically, or did you try to distinguish between?
Well,
yours and his?
you're gonna get different guitar tones through whatever different guitar you're playing.
Sure.
Depending, your amp could be set completely exactly the same, but
Sure.
if you switch guitars, it's gonna sound
Sound
different.
different. So, you're getting difference
Yep.
in tone then.
Yep.
For sure. Okay.
What about drum wise, Colin? What was there anything different this time? What did your process look like?
Yeah, so I was a little unprepared for this album. We had worked on it hard, but I was just really indecisive about how I wanted these drum parts to go. And in the studio, I'm already kind of like that. I'll save 99% of my fills. I won't even write them. Like there might be 1 or 2 here that I've been playing every time we practice it, but I'll just go off in that new sense of like, I do a lot of it to keep myself interested, so that adrenaline being in the studio and you go off on this different fill that no one's ever heard before in the band, and then you go back to listen to it, I'll do my take, I'll run in the engineer's room and where everyone's just like, oh damn, it's really goes off like that. So there was definitely some of that, but I was indecisive on how I wanted a lot of these parts to go. This album, like you said, it's a lot less blackened. I hate that fucking word.
Yeah.
It's a lot less blackened,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Did you have to
Well-
like go back and relearn some of those new fills, or is it
It's always like that. So all the throne shit, I'll record stuff and then I'll have to learn it. I'll have to listen to it
Yeah.
because, like I said, 90% of them fills are
Right.
different.
So kind of the same way he approaches the
Yeah,
vocals and
yeah.
shit.
It'll be like, oh,
For
fuck,
instance,
I got to learn this.
Anytime I go into the vocal booth, I tell Andy, I'm like, I got no vocal patterns. Blank canvas. We're gonna go, and Andy
Yeah.
goes, cool. Hits the record button, and then we
Yeah.
go.
Keep what you keep.
So,
and,
yep.
yeah.
With the drums this time, it wasn't all one takes. Pestilent Dawn is almost all one take.
Oh.
A lot of that shit.
Yeah.
No punch-ins, I don't believe on any of that. This album, it was a lot of. So I'll track things 3 times, 3 different drum tracks for every song, and then we'll come in like, I don't know about this one. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Oh, that was the fucking one right there.
Yeah.
And so it was like a lot of. Andy was pissed because all 3 tracks were completely different. I'm
Oh.
trying shit out in the
Yeah.
studio that I should have had done more for pre-pro, but we do the album so much differently than the rest of our shit. It's not that different, but it is.
Yeah.
That I just didn't have that confident path that I wanted to take. So I definitely took up a lot more time than I ever have in the studio for anything else on this album. But I'm pretty happy with how it came out.
Yeah.
That's good.
I like a lot of your fills though too, because you listen to a lot of drummers and they get into habits where it's like they might only snare tom, or whatever. Like you have this really cool way about sometimes you'll start to feel fast and then it'll slow down, or vice versa, or it'll be it won't just kind of be a bunch of the same fills. So drummers get into those patterns, and it seems like you're always thinking about how can this fill be a little different than the last one, because is that fair to say? Because
Yeah.
I just feel like when I listen to you drum, like, you got the steady grind or groove and stuff, and a lot of drummers can do that, but it's like when your fills that really set you apart, like they're just always interesting, and they're always, when I see you actually playing them too, I'm like, oh, that was a cool idea. It's like instead of like most drummers just like it's like
a lot of drummers have a lot of repetitive fills.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
they'll do the same thing like 4 or 5 times in a row.
Yeah,
and it's just
exactly.
like,
and you're kind of like,
come on.
Yeah, play your instrument, bro. But I just noticed with your fills, they're not like that. I even with the one part we were talking about earlier, it was just like you do some unique things that really make your drumming stand out, instead of just another guy that can blast or play fast double bass, So that's why I really like about your drumming, man.
Thank you.
Nate, I'll jump in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question. When you're hearing a new fill for the first time, does that make you think, God damn it, like I could syncopate my part with that? Like now I kind of want to like redo my guitar part with that. Like, do you?
I don't know. It's one of those things where jamming with him is always, it just blows my mind every time.
Fair.
And I mean, I've been playing with him for the past decade. Yeah. So, but like, I mean, every practice it feels like he's come up with something new with a guitar, with a drum fill, or he learned a new technique with his, or snare technique. It's something new every time, every single time we jam. So it's always cool. It's like, oh, cool. Now we have a new thing that we can write our stuff around. So it really helps to have a drummer that can broaden your horizons without you actually doing anything, because he's the one that opens everything up.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yep.
So tell me about your favorite part of just being enthroned in general and doing like extreme music. Like, what keeps bringing you back to play this fucking...
Particularly with Throne, this is the first band I've been in where I'm the front man.
Okay.
Yeah, like all the other bands I've ever been in, I was just a guitar player. I'd play to the side. Maybe I'd do some side backing vocals from time to time. But this is my first and only band that I've been in that I'm, the front man that, does the vocals and talks to the crowd and everything. And I wasn't really that great at it when we first started, because I don't really do well talking to crowds very well at all. I'm getting better at it. I'm still a little rough at it. Like if you watch us play, like sometimes if there's like dead silence in between a song, I'll just kind of like grab the mic and kind of look down at the crowd and try to say something funny to like crack everybody up. But like for the most part, we just try to, in between songs, I'll scream the name of the song that will go to the name of the song and try not to ham around too much in between. But sometimes it doesn't really work out that way. Colin has to fix his drums. Sometimes maybe his kick pedal comes off the drum set and he has to put it on. That's, it's 15, 20 seconds and I got to stand there and try to figure out what to say to somebody, but it's an adrenaline rush to be a front man for sure. I just, I like that this band in particular is kind of Colin and I's brainchild, because we created the band together. So it's cool to see something that you've created doing well, as opposed to being, a part of a band where maybe it's not your brainchild. So
right,
yeah.
Sure. What about you, Colin? What's your favorite part of being enthroned and playing extreme music?
I never expected anyone to like anything I did that much, And most projects I'm in, I get that same reaction. Like I've been doing this shit my whole life, I do it for me. I don't do it for you, Like in a sense I do, but like I'm doing it to keep myself interested. It's a lifestyle too, but I also have some like seriously as big as music to me other hobbies, lifestyles that I do too. So it's like only a part of me. So I'm fucking, to see that people enjoy this more than anything else in the world that I do. Just it blows my mind, but it keeps it fresh. You get burnt out a lot doing
Oh,
this
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So
for
it's
sure.
like
Yep.
that's what keeps me in it. I guess.
Yeah. So speaking of that, as we start to wrap this down or whatever, I kind of want to know. We nerd out about music production, guitars, all that shit on the show. I mean, sometimes you almost got to be a musician to listen to our show because we talk.
Yeah.
We get in the weeds, But that's also why we do this, because we enjoy doing this. We enjoy talking to other extreme musicians. We don't do it. If other people enjoy it, of course, that helps and
Sure.
we like it. But it's the same thing with playing in a band. You kind of do it for yourself at the end of the day. And if people like it, that's super cool. But as long as you enjoy it and you're passionate about it. But you talked about hobbies. What are some hobbies you guys have outside of just fucking grinding on music? Some people don't have any. They're just like, no, I just play in 3 other bands. That's all I want to do. But you said you
I
had some
envy
other.
that, man.
Yeah.
I wish that music was all I had.
Yeah.
Just the outdoors. I'm a big hunter and fisher.
Okay. Cool.
So it's I wouldn't even call it a hobby. It's pretty much a lifestyle, just like music is too. But just like music, I was born into that too. Super big outdoorsman in my family.
Okay.
It's like one of my true passions. Being on the water. It sounds fucking stupid even coming out of my mouth, to hear it. But
Nah,
fuck,
dude,
that's what gets me off. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I love it.
that's a big skill set within itself, and
yeah.
there's so much to know. That shit costs a lot of money too, whether it's fishing or
sucks.
hunting or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
That's a big, that's not just a hobby sometimes. We've got a buddy that's super into fly fishing, and he's like, I don't know shit about anything outdoors.
Yeah.
That's just, I didn't grow up with it. Sometimes you just
Same.
grow up with it.
Yeah.
But he's explaining, like, his face just lights up when he's telling me how to tie this fly, and he's using deer hair and all this shit. I'm just like, that's cool as fuck. Because
So
for me, I don't get it. Because but at
Sure.
the same time, it makes me happy that it makes him happy, right? So it's like a whole skill set, and I can see how it can be a lifestyle.
I know. I wasn't raised outdoors necessarily like you hunting and fishing, but I'm kind of taking like the back door in or from the other end of the spectrum into that world, or I'd like to anyway, because I'm huge into culinary.
Mm-hmm.
So once you start with the finished product and you start working your way all the way back
Like,
to,
how do I get this? Yeah.
to like the fabrication part, I'm like, well, there's a lot more before fabrication. Before I start breaking this animal down, I got to go out and get this or raise this animal or grow this vegetable. So
Yeah.
so that becomes more of an interest too. And for me, that's a world I'd like to get into at some point in time. I mean, like, I didn't grow up with it. It was never an interest, not even remotely. I just didn't get it at all. But now that, I'm cut down a raw chicken, cut down a whole pig, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of work that went into me getting this animal, and that's the part that now I want to get my hands on. So
Oh, yeah.
I think like when you say it's a lifestyle, I totally get it. Like, it's a part of you. Every single day you're probably thinking about it, like, when's my next hunting trip? When can I go? When can I squeeze in some time for some fishing? Like,
Every day, it's all I think about.
It's pretty wild, because there'll be times where we'll play a show and then he trucks up 3 hours to go do what were you doing?
I will drive from 3 hours up north to Detroit to play a show, pack up, immediately
and
go
go
back
back.
up to Salmon Trip, and then I'm out in the river at 4 a.m. that
Oh,
night.
It's insane.
Damn, that is
Like,
that is
it's
insane.
wild.
That's every year though.
But
Yeah,
that's
it's wild.
That's dedication, though.
Oh, yeah.
Nate, what do you do on the side?
Well, I actually am a pretty huge softball player.
Okay.
Oh,
As far as
nice.
not as my brother Tim does it way more than I do, but about 10, 11 years ago, because I kind of played sports when I was in school and
Okay.
stuff. I was
Yeah.
was pretty into basketball, liked playing baseball and stuff like that. But then, once I got to about my freshman year, I kind of got rid of all that and started getting into music, and
Yeah.
then we're where we're at now. But it was something I wanted to bond with my brother Tim on, because Tim's pretty big sports guy, isn't really into metal or
Yeah.
anything, appreciates the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
He'll come to our shows and we play in Jackson and stuff like that, but he thinks it's cool and everything, but
Yeah.
like he's not a
Yeah.
a traveling musician or anything.
Yeah, he's not calling you to
But
tell you
him
to
and
listen to the
him
new
and I
cattle
really
decap.
bonded with playing softball, and I've been doing that the past 10, 11 years with him. I've gotten all right at it. Could I be better? Probably, but it's something I enjoy doing on
Nice.
the side, and then my job that I work at, I work at a game store.
Okay.
Not like video. Well, we do sell video games and stuff, but I'm actually really big into Magic the
Like
Gathering.
Magic, yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's
So-
your guy right there.
So
I'm not good at it, but I love
yeah,
it.
but I was introduced to the game in 2001,
Okay.
so I've been around it for a long time,
Yeah, you
and
have.
that's been my job for like the past 14 years. Was buying and trading, selling Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
nice.
I don't have the typical normal 9 to 5 go to work, pay the man type stuff. I've always been working in the game store.
Oh,
industry,
hell yeah.
so-
That's cool.
Real
Yep.
quick, Jay, I want to ask him a couple questions
Please.
on this subject
Please.
of sports. First of all, what position do you prefer to play in the softball?
I am an outfielder.
Okay.
Yeah,
Left,
I
right, center?
they'll normally put me in right.
Okay.
But most of the time I'll play anywhere out there.
Okay.
Right is in softball. Right's it's kind of known as you put one of your worst players in right field. But if you start playing in the upper division stuff, you'll get a lot of right-handed batters that know how to push the ball to the right center,
Okay.
right field, and you have to know how to read a ball. Because a lot of the times when the right-handed batters will push the ball, it has a tail, and it'll go away from you, so you're gonna have to know how to read the ball coming off the bat.
Okay.
And I've gotten really, really good at that.
Nice.
I still have a hard time trailing the left-handed batters that hit right field, because when they hit right field, the ball comes straight at you at a million miles per hour, and
Deadly.
because they have a hard pull. So the
Right.
ball just
Yeah.
comes at you. Unlike the right-handed batters, when the ball hits, it does this.
Okay.
So you can kind of watch the ball as it tails, and then you can go whatever way it goes. But the left-handed batters hit the ball at you much harder.
Yeah, because
yeah,
that's
because it's
generally where
because
they're
it's coming
aiming.
right
Yeah.
at you off of because
Their
I'm
left.
left-handed too. When
Oh,
I
okay.
bat.
Okay.
So the pull hitters will. When they pull, they come straight off at you like that, and the ball will come right at you. So
Line driving it.
yeah, the line drive shots, man.
So,
Whew.
one more question I had for you. You're also a football fan, correct?
Huge.
We've interacted. At least it was some
Yep.
time back, but at the time, and this is some years ago now, I said Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
And here we are now. He's got 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 victories, 3 MVPs. Now, after some years of making that comment, would you back me up on that? Or
1,000%.
Okay, so I just wanted to pick your brain and see if
I
there's a
won't-
better quarterback in the NFL
No,
than Patrick Mahomes.
it's not even close.
Not even close. Okay, I love it.
No.
Speak to it. Just give me a
So my opinion on him is there are a lot of people that try to say he's overrated
sure.
and all this kind of stuff. It's like, oh well, he's not as good. He's only as good because he's got Andy Reid as his coach. He's only good because he's got Travis Kelce
Sure.
as his tight end. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, he still has to make the throws to them,
Right.
and he still commands the offense. He's the
Yes.
one behind. He's the one under center. He's the one calling the plays.
Yep.
The guy is a wizard
Yeah.
behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And I've told people this, and everyone's like, oh, well, he's not the best quarterback. Joe Burrow's the best quarterback. He's not the best quarterback. Lamar Jackson's the best quarterback. I'm like, well, Patrick Mahomes hasn't played in anything less than the AFC title game since he's been a starter.
Right.
And that's absolutely batshit insane.
It's crazy.
Like,
He's constantly in
since
it.
2018, the dude hasn't played in anything less than the AFC title game, and he's been to the Super Bowl 4 times
Yeah.
in 6 seasons.
Yeah.
Which is utterly insane.
Yeah.
I wonder how long he can keep it going. He's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the game, but he makes plays happen that are broken down.
Yep.
He understands Andy Reid's system. So yeah, I have to agree with you.
He's-
My boy is Matthew Stafford.
Sure.
I mean, I
Yeah,
was
I get it.
so hype on the Rams winning the Super Bowl. I wish that could have been Detroit. I am also a Jared Goff fan. Top 10 quarterback in the league. I know we're diverting here,
He's I would say if he's not, he's close.
but he's got to at least be 10 for me. He's improved a lot.
He has.
Go
So,
sports.
Yeah. I know.
And
Jay likes basketball. He's going to give me a
and-
little.
Yeah, I'm an
And he-
NBA guy and UFC. That's about it.
with Jared Goff, he I think he's really turned between him and Dan Campbell. I think both of
Oh,
them and
yeah.
Brad Holmes, obviously.
Yes.
I think they really turned Detroit around. I'm not the biggest Detroit fan, even though I'm from Michigan.
Sure.
I like Jacksonville, but like it is what it is. But
You're allowed to like.
but I always secretly root for Detroit
Yeah.
because I'm from Michigan. So
I had to ask
yeah.
on camera or off camera, but I just thought of it now and give somebody a bite to listen to if they like sports. There's a little. tangent
absolutely,
there.
yeah. No,
You know what I
no. I will talk football all day
Yeah.
I just
because it's one of my favorite things to watch.
oh,
So
same.
yeah.
Love it.
Well, I mean, that's why we kind of just bring up other things on the show because we all do things outside of.
Oh yeah,
these
yeah,
things where,
absolutely.
Music is life.
Yeah.
That's usually the number one priority, but a lot of the times
That's why
we'll
we're
have
here.
other lives and interests
Yeah.
too. So
When they don't, I get a little worried. I'm like,
Yeah.
all you do is music? That's that's a little
It's
cantankerous for me.
insane.
Yeah, it's like how can you just do
Yeah.
only that?
yeah.
I'm a bit of a gamer, but I got to keep it in a healthy perspective. But
Well, like you said, it's easy to get burnt out on things, man. So you got to kind of have some diversity and other interests, and then I feel like that will influence and inspire you to do other things because you're just not always solely dedicated to that, and because sometimes it's easy to put on the blinders if you do
Yeah.
that, So, what's next for you guys?
Well, patiently waiting to release this record, and once that, hopefully when the October tour gets booked and we're done with it, that's going to be hopefully our album release tour,
Okay, cool.
and we'll get to play on that. And we got a couple of cool outside Michigan shows, and we got the show with Goatwhore, and we're talking about maybe possibly doing another tour in March next year. Touring is basically what we want to do now. We feel like we've kind of
we put in the dues.
exhausted most of our Michigan playing
Yeah,
for the most part, and we kind of want to expand and just branch out and just keep going out and play out of state, and hopefully maybe get into Canada and possibly outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
at some point.
yeah, that might
So-
be the real big hit for you guys. Maybe outside of the U.S.,
Yeah. Yep.
not necessarily just Canada, but like overseas, if that's
you
something you guys could do. 'cause,
Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
we,
might be your thing.
we-
It's-
Speaking of Europe, we actually just played. We opened for Internal Bleeding not too long ago, and our buddies in Mutilatred played that. And
Yeah.
then there was a band that played there called Cenotaph. They're from Turkey,
okay.
and they were just in love with us, and they were like, "We're gonna bring you guys over to Turkey at some point, or Europe."
That'd be
And
awesome.
we're just like, "Oh,
You're like, here's my card.
yeah,
Fucking call me."
yeah. Batu, their vocalist, was like, "Yeah, just in his Turkish accent that he has, just get a hold of me and we'll work something out." And I'm just like, "Oh,
You're like,
oh
"Fuck
man,
yeah, dude."
oh hell yeah!"
We have some bands on here. We let them know, like, you guys are cut from that cloth. You guys are like totally ready to take it to a bigger stage, to take it to more cities. I listen to you guys and I'm like, these guys might be the best thing in Michigan right now.
Thank
I mean,
you.
Maybe it's my
I
We
personal.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I
Maybe
think
it's
so,
my
too.
personal taste. I mean, and I love all the other bands that I have, and well, at least speaking to like your style anyway, like
Right.
the death metal. Like, there's not a lot of variation, no diss on that. It's like you guys are what you are. You are a death metal band.
Yeah.
You're not bringing in like random other genres to the style of
Right.
music. I mean, so especially for what you guys are doing, might be the best thing in Michigan. I haven't heard everything in Michigan, but from production, songwriting, musicianship, all these things, you start checking all these boxes, and I'm just like, these guys are ready to set go. Like,
Thank
get them on a national tour, grow that audience.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Trying hard.
Yeah,
we are trying.
I
We've
think-
had a couple offers to do some national stuff. It just hasn't worked out,
Sure.
and we're waiting to
So do you guys
finally hit that.
I guess it comes down to like the record label, maybe like extra help promoting you guys, or is it? Do you feel like it falls still in your lap?
It's still on us because we're still very
independent?
much DIY.
Yeah.
Our deal with Thomas isn't.
It's a distro deal.
It's a distro deal. I mean, we are affiliated with the label.
Sure.
His stuff's all over our stuff, but we're still the ones that have to push the social media. We still
Okay.
have to push our record sales. We still got to push our shows. We still got to book everything
You guys
until
feel
we
like-
can. The big thing is when you finally land a booking agent, that's when everything starts really going. And we're kind of in with one right now a little bit, but he just moved to a bigger company,
Okay.
and
We're not top priority.
we're
Yeah.
not top
I
priority
get
there.
that.
So
I get that.
it's
I do want to agree with Nick 100%. You guys have the it factor.
Yeah.
Like, you guys should be on stage with Dying Fetus, Black Dahlia Murder. I mean, you
Thank
guys
you.
are right there.
More
I mean,
more to the
yeah.
point is you guys should be headlining these sorts of things very soon. Not 5 years, 1 year. You drop this fucking album. and it does well, and then the next one comes after that, you guys should be headlining. You guys will be thrown, and people will be playing opening for you. That's how I feel about it. It's just like maybe 2 years tops. You know, you get that next album out after this one. I think this one should kick a lot of doors off hinges.
We were thinking Pestilent Dawn was going to do that, and
Okay.
if it was, it just didn't. It was weird.
COVID,
Like,
I think, really
COVID really had a big effect on it. I think
a lot of
if-
albums came out right then too.
I think if COVID didn't happen,
Yeah.
I think we would have got a lot more done with that album. But we released it. It did well. I mean, because Thomas, you know, we did our vinyl run with it and
Yeah.
everything. Like, and we thought it did over all right. But we're pretty excited, and we think this next one's gonna hopefully kind of really kick the door open for us to get us on some bigger stuff and some bigger festivals. Hopefully, maybe get to Maryland Death Fest and, you know, play all the bigger stuff and try to.
It happens quick.
Really
I think
branch out.
These days, you don't have to. I mean, you already put in a lot of work. You paid a lot of dues already, so there's no like denying that. But I think these days with the internet, a band can blow up real quick.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, it might be a stroke of luck, and it might be all that hard work adding up, or both. But I think like you guys could find yourselves doing exactly that. Like
The hardest part about it is getting noticed.
Yeah.
Is having the right person see you at the right time, and once that happens and you get your foot in the door, it just goes.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, look at Sanguisugabog.
Oh yeah.
Like, I remember when we first saw them, I remember they were playing the Sanctuary in front of 50 people. Now they're headlining tours and they're on Central Media.
Yeah.
And it happened within a matter of a year or two.
And I think it's one step to go from like the local band, if you will, like you're DIY, you're just this Midwest area, Michigan based, to becoming a national band. It's just really one step, but that's got to be like the hardest step.
It's very hard.
We're not a local band anymore. Okay, we're on this label. We're a nationwide act. We're looking to go worldwide here. You know, I want to be in Europe. I want to be anywhere else where metal's popular. The Philippines, you know, South Pacific area there's huge metal fan bases. There's fan bases everywhere. So I mean, I think it's just a matter of getting that one step. And it's all the hard work and then a stroke of luck or meeting the right person and being like just persistent and not giving up on it. And I say definitely don't anytime soon have any ideas of quitting it. I think your guys' music is, you know, it's there. It's just a matter of just hopefully just the right set of circumstances.
Try to get it in the right hands with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and when we did Pestilent Dawn, we sent it to everyone. I mean, we sent it to Century Media, we sent it to Metal Blade, we sent it to Relapse, we sent it to everybody.
Sure.
And, you know, we in our EPK, we were like, give us the stage, we'll produce, you know, because we're trying to let our music speak for itself.
Yeah. And
a lot of the labels just, I mean, a lot of them, they're looking at your social media numbers. They're they're like, can we make money off these guys? Are they, if I invest $25,000, $30,000 into this band, am I going to make that money back from them?
Yeah.
Are they going to do that? And a lot of these labels just, they won't take the risk on a band if they don't see a lucrative, you know.
Yeah.
Some of them guys will sign you because they like you.
Yeah.
They'll be like, this band's awesome. I think I can push them to where we can make something happen. And that's when you really get into it. But like the bigger guys, like you almost have to be insanely established for any of those other labels to really pay attention to you.
I think it's just a matter of time for you guys. Just keep pushing the envelope. You guys will be there before you know it. I mean, you guys got the skill level. You guys got the music. It's all there, you know. Plus, you know, if you push that rate in, you know, 2021, people are probably still like, we don't even know if music's going to exist because people are still fucking masking up at this time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Half of that year at least.
Yeah, so it was just kind of like one of those things where they still didn't know what they know now about everything and all that. So, well, with that being said, you want to ask the last question here, buddy?
Yeah, so if you guys watched the show or not before, I always end the show with the same question. I like to give the fans a little taste of your musical tastes. So if you would for me, Nate, Colin, let everybody know what you're listening to right now that's like high on your radar in terms of heavy music that you're into? And also, if you would for us, and this might be harder for you, let us know something chill that you're listening to. That might even be hard for you. I don't know.
It's not actually.
Okay,
for
'cause I
me, I actually, because I work, I'm full time at my job, so I have to run the speaker system at my store.
Oh yeah, so you probably
And
gotta put some chill music.
So I don't blast in my music game store. I don't blast metal.
Yeah.
Sure. makes
So
sense.
I usually will play a lot of This Will Destroy You.
Okay.
I don't know if any of you are familiar with them.
No.
No, not at all.
They're an ambient instrumental band,
Okay.
Okay.
and a lot of clean tone, and it's not heavy. It's really cool. So I like that. I like that stuff. And then obviously I always I like Orgasm and Cenotaph and Defeated Sanity and all that other stuff too. So but I actually don't listen to a whole lot of metal too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Fair.
I kind of did all that in the first 20 years of me doing this. But,
Yeah.
Sure.
So I kind of pulled back a little bit and
Yep.
listened to a lot of, ambient stuff. But when I do listen to metal, it's usually brutal death metal. Like
Yeah.
Deeds of Flesh,
Like
or
the classic shit.
yeah,
You turned me on to those guys, actually. You were
Yep.
raving about them, and that was one of those bands that have been around
Yeah.
forever. And I'm like, I see Nate talking about these guys online, so I'm just going to go check them out. And I was like,
they're awesome.
fuck, I slept on these
That's
guys
the best.
forever. Yeah, they-
Suffocation is
yeah.
one of my all-time favorite death metal bands.
Yeah,
So
makes
I
sense.
listen to them a lot. Incantation, Immolation, all the classic
Classics,
bands.
yeah.
Yep.
And Colin, I only said that because you said you grew up on
Yeah,
from the cradle or the crib, these 80s and 90s thrash death metal bands. But what are you listening to right now? What do you want to recommend to people or let people know that you're into?
I'm really into Sadistic Ritual right now.
Oh, those dudes are fucking sweet.
I have to look this one up. I
It's
don't know
a
from
band that we played with them a couple years ago at a fest, and we just played with them on our last run at No Class in Cleveland.
here. Okay.
And they're so badass. They're thrash, but I'd almost call them black thrash. I
Okay.
don't think they would be like that, but
Yeah.
Charlie was like, I hate that Blackened.
Yeah.
He's like, no. And we're like that's. I
they
mean,
have that feel to it.
Yeah.
But it's really good. They're starting to take off too
Nice.
as a band. We actually in Philly we played with this band. They had to have been like 17-year-olds.
oh, dude,
They're called Grozoff.
Oh God, they were
and
so
it sounded
fucking
like
sick.
Judas Priest mixed with Iron Maiden, but with screams. And it was so fucking pristine. Like, looked at our bass player Les. I'm like, man, this was what we did back when we were that age. And he's like, yeah, but we weren't this good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
what was the song? Was the song the Power Thrasher?
oh yeah, the Power Thrasher.
That's so fucking cool.
Yeah, but they're
And then
super good.
when we played, in between songs, I was I'll announce the bands.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for coming out. Give it up for blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then and in between the songs, I was like, Grozoff is probably the coolest fucking band we've ever played with, because they were cool, man. They were
Yeah.
like 16, 17-year-old kids, but they were dressed. They looked like they should have been, in 80s hair metal bands.
Yeah.
It was fucking sick.
And they were tight. They were
and they
good
were
and
tight
they were
as
tight.
fuck.
Yeah, they were living that life.
It was so sweet. And the
Oh.
vocalist was the drummer.
And he wrote everything.
Yeah, and it
every
was so
instrument.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Hell yeah.
So what happens when you grow up with YouTube?
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's it for chill. Any chill stuff or
I would say like that Grozoff band
That's more
would
the
be
chill
like the
type shit?
chill,
Okay.
the chill shit that I've been
Okay.
listening to.
Cool.
Man, my car doesn't even have a radio in it right now, so like a lot of people, I'll get out of my car. You haven't listened to anything in 6 months of driving? I'm like, no. This guy's psychotic.
That's my chill is silence.
Yeah.
yeah, but so
sometimes
The
you need
sound
that.
the sound of the
Yeah.
engine in my car.
really,
yeah.
9 times out of 10, what I'm listening to is like the next session that I'm entertaining, playing for,
Oh,
or
okay.
something
Yeah.
like that. So that'll be like the most of what I listen to anymore.
That's cool though. You can stay inspired and stay in your own lane too.
Yeah.
Not super influenced by a lot of other things. All right. Well, is there anything else you guys want to touch on or talk about today, or did we cover a good portion of film?
We covered pretty good chunk of everything,
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say thanks so much for fucking coming on our show, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to seeing you guys catapult into the stratosphere even more because you guys deserve it. And
come back when you're big.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, don't forget about us. No, we'll definitely love to do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
You know, maybe
Yeah.
get the album out or something. We can help promote it on our end in any
Yeah.
which
Hell
way
yeah.
or whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so with that being said, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, hell
Thank
yeah.
you.
Keep it metal. Peace. Thank you so much for checking out the episode. Be sure to hit that like button and give us a share.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast today, please give it a rating on your streaming service to help us gain some exposure.
And if you really enjoyed the show, please give us a follow or hit that subscribe button and come hang out with us every week. And remember, keep it metal.